This is case number 223 on the calendar, the matter of Estes versus Oliver. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Estes, it is your claim that Mr. Oliver was an uninvited guest in your home and that he assaulted you in your home.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Oliver, although he acknowledges that there were blows exchanged, says that he struck you in self-defense. You actually hit him first. And it is his claim that he was invited, not by you, but by someone else to the house. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you?
19.
You go to college?
Yes, ma'am.
Which one?
Oklahoma City Community College.
Could you try to speak a little slower? I'm old.
Oklahoma City Community College.
You live at home?
Yes.
And you, sir?
I go to a community college in Cleburne, Hill College. I did go to University of Oklahoma until this happened.
Is that why you changed schools?
Yes.
Did you have an apartment?
I was renting a house from witness Mark's parents had a rent house, and we were renting it from them.
How many people lived there?
3.
Were you living there as well, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Stand up. What's your name?
Mark Williams.
Are you scared?
No. Kind of nervous. A little nervous. I'm sorry.
Step over here. I have a couple of questions. Mr. Williams, this is your parents' house?
Yes.
Who was the third roommate?
Christopher.
Do you know Mr. Oliver? Did you know him before this incident happened?
Yeah, I knew him from high school, just randomly, just because he went to the same high school, I knew of him.
But he wasn't your friend?
No.
So you didn't invite him to your house?
No.
What date did this incident happen?
May 22nd?
Did you invite him to the house, Mr. Estes?
No, ma'am.
Did you know him from before?
No, ma'am.
Now, this Christopher person, is that the person that you knew?
No, ma'am.
You didn't know Christopher either?
No.
So you didn't know any of the 3 people that lived in this house?
No, ma'am.
What brought you to the house?
My friend DJ was leaving for the Navy, and they were throwing him a going-away party, and he called us and asked us to come by.
You know DJ?
Yes.
Was he having a party at your house?
No, ma'am.
How many people were in the house on the evening of the 22nd of May?
About 7. We each had a friend over.
Was DJ there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it was the 3 people who lived in the house, plus 4 guests?
Yes.
All guys?
It was Sarah, one of her friends.
It was a
and
girl.
It was a
Sarah
girl.
is definitely a girl.
Well, her friend is a girl.
What?
Her friend is a girl.
And DJ and us 3 that lived in the house.
Okay, so it was just a small gathering?
Yeah.
Okay, now you can sit down. Okay, so DJ said come on over to say goodbye?
Yes. He said they're having a going-away party for me, and he
Well,
asked
this
us to come
doesn't
over.
sound like much of a party. There were only 7 people there.
There was more than 7 people there. There were people in the front yard.
There were only 7 people in the house, according to them. Where had you been that evening, Mr. Oliver?
I was over at a friend's house around campus.
Anybody drinking?
Yeah.
What about you?
Yes.
Who was driving?
Me.
How did I know that? How do you think?
I don't know, man.
You'll never know. So you were drinking and driving and went over to see your friend DJ, and what happened, sir?
When we were leaving the
Who's
party,
we?
my friend Ricky, and I had one more friend with me. I guess people overheard us and thought we were going to another party. So we had about 5 carloads of people following us, saying we're going to another party.
You had 5 carloads of people following you where?
They thought we were going to another party, man. We tried to tell them that we weren't, and they followed us anyway.
What time?
About 2:30 in the morning, man.
You got the picture here, sir, that I'm not happy with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Keep going.
Okay, well, when we got there, we were walking up to the door. Mark lets me, my friend Ricky, and David in.
You had let 3 of them in, is that right?
No.
Well, tell me what happened, sir. Thought he just said that you let them
Well,
in.
I opened the door. I was the first one to open the door, and I see there's 30 people outside that I don't know. And I see him and Ricky. They first come in. I never said they could come in. They just kind of pushed me aside and came in. And then
Okay.
they ran into him.
Now, where were the other 30 people that were outside?
Just out in my front yard. And I was like, I don't want these people here because my neighbors are going to call the cops, you know. They're making noise.
Right, 5 carloads of them.
Yeah.
So he ran into you.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you say?
I told him it was late. I didn't know who they were. There were 20 or 30 people out in our yard. We didn't want them here. They needed to leave. He tried to push me aside, and I tried to push him out of my house, and he dragged me outside, and
Just a second. Well, Mr. Oliver, when Mr. Estes told you to leave, why didn't you leave?
Man, Mr. Estes never told us to leave. When we got there, Mark let us in. He stops us in the hall, and he put his hands on my chest and asked who are all these people.
Who were all these people?
Yeah, because they were still walking up. They
You
were
mean the
way
other
behind us.
30 of them?
I don't know if it was 30, ma'am.
5 carloads. And he said to you, who are all these people? And what did you say?
I said, ma'am, I don't know. They followed us here.
And what happened after you
Well,
said that?
when he put his hands on me, I pushed his hand down like that, and I asked him not to touch me because I didn't know him. And he looks at me crazy and tells me that, you know, he pays the MF in rent here, and grabbed me by my shirt like that and tried to push me into the door. And when he did that, I kind of put my weight forward, and when I did, he swung at me, and he hit me in the jaw. And I retaliated by hitting him twice. He falls forward on me, I'm on my back, and I try to get up. I push myself, and he's still got a hold of my shirt. So people are running over there kicking and hitting. I'm getting kicked, he's getting kicked. I can't get up, and then I finally get pulled to my feet from one of my friends. And then when I got to my feet, I saw Mark had a cast on his hand. I don't remember which hand it was. But he's pushing people back, and he swung it at my friend Ricky here. And Ricky blocked, and it hit him in his forearms with the cast. And then Ricky pushed him back and pretty much got out of there after that. Because I didn't know those people. It's a rich neighborhood. It's 2:30 in the morning, so we left. I didn't want to be involved with that situation.
Well, Mr. Oliver, if you didn't want to be involved with that situation, sir, why didn't you just go home?
Because my friend
Instead of making trouble by stopping with 5 carloads of people that you don't know that have been out drinking all night because it's 2:30 in the morning and they're going to another party. Instead of being involved in creating a situation where none existed, Mr. Oliver, you created an incident. You had had enough to drink. You were behind the wheel. You were taking a caravan over to someone's house that you didn't know in the rich part of town. You brought with you 5 carloads of drunken teenagers looking for another party. That's what you did. You created an incident because you're young and stupid.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You were arrested for using an illegal drug.
No, I got arrested for possession, ma'am.
Either you were using or selling. I mean, you weren't decorating your house with it, right?
And later today,
Until I see your world implode, I wish you death and suffering, misery to spare. To my ex, you know who you are.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gary Estes III says he was assaulted in his home by Ryland Oliver. Ryland says Gary swung at him first.
Mr. Oliver, they don't live in a rural area on 30 acres, do they? They live with houses right next door?
Yes.
With maybe people who are not 19 years old?
Yes.
Maybe sleeping at 2:30 in the morning?
Probably.
Maybe not interested in hearing you and your moronic friends? Probably.
Ma'am, when we got there, it was not 7 people there. They had people outside
Listen to
drinking
me,
in front of the
sir.
yard.
You brought over 5 carloads of people to a neighborhood where they didn't belong. And if you wanted to say goodbye to your friend, and if unfortunately 5 carloads of people, strangers, started to follow you, you go to the local police precinct and you say, these 5 carloads of people are following me. I don't want them to follow me. But you don't take them to an unsuspecting neighborhood unless you're an idiot. Can I see photographs, please? You have photographs for me?
No.
Was he arrested?
No.
Why not?
Because the police said that they felt that if we pressed charges, he'd retaliate. And
Can I see your police report, please?
And that's the picture of me is proof that I didn't just get pushed when I was trying to break it up.
No, you got it. So you were
I got
assaulted.
hit.
Mr. Oliver,
Yes, ma'am.
how many times you were arrested before?
Once.
When?
February 7th, I believe.
Of this year?
Yes.
For what?
Possession of marijuana and speeding.
So at that point, you were arrested for using an illegal drug and driving, right?
No, I got arrested for possession, ma'am.
Well,
I never got arrested
either
for
you were
influence.
using or selling. I mean, you weren't decorating your house with it, right? Either you were using or selling.
I was using, ma'am, but I was...
Well, that's the answer. Can I see your unreimbursed medical bills, please? Anything you want to say to me?
No, ma'am.
Good idea. You're a fast learn. You have any idea how many people were hitting you?
4 or 5, at least, were kicking me.
And the 4 or 5 that were hitting you and or kicking you, because you have serious lacerations in your head, were those the people that came in this caravan of 5 cars?
I'm
They weren't
assuming.
your guests.
No, they weren't. And I still have shoulder rehab I have to go through. I may have to have surgery on it.
There are consequences to your actions. One of the consequences to your actions is having to listen to me. I'm telling you that your actions caused him serious physical injury and a lot of pain and suffering, because I've seen the photographs. Have you seen them?
Nope.
Would you like to see them?
Not really.
It's mature. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
I was getting kicked in the face, and I just tried to cover my head up, and Ryland stomped on my head and split it open.
When I was leaving, he was on the ground, and there was people swarming him.
All I was trying to do was get people off of him, and then they started hitting me.
He was practically unconscious, and he was bleeding like a waterfall of blood from his nose. It was terrible.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Smith versus MacArthur. Step forward, please.
19-year-old Jennifer Smith is suing her ex-fiancé, 23-year-old James MacArthur, for destroying her property, throwing her engagement ring in a lake, and slander.
Miss Smith, you and Mr. MacArthur were engaged to be married. It didn't work out. And it is your claim that after you broke up, Mr. MacArthur took some of your property, vandalized some of your property, and then posted some very negative things about you on the internet, which you view as slanderous, and you want to be compensated for that. Mr. MacArthur says the only thing that he took back was the engagement ring.
Yes.
And as far as destroying your property, he did not do that. And as far as placing items on the internet, he says he never mentioned you by name on any website. How long were you engaged, Mr. MacArthur?
We were engaged for about 2 years.
Did she break up with you, or did you break up with her?
She wanted to take time apart, and I told her I did not want that.
Okay, so she wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably a good idea, that you didn't get married.
Yeah.
If somebody's not sure, it's better off to figure it out now than later, right?
Yes, Ron.
All right, Miss Smith, what items do you claim that Mr. MacArthur stole from you?
He has several of my CDs. He took my engagement ring. I was later informed that that was thrown into a lake.
Well, the engagement ring he's entitled to take back.
It was a birthday present. It was given to me as a birthday present. It was given to me on my birthday as an engagement
your
ring.
engagement ring was given to you on your birthday.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, he's entitled to it back.
It was given as a birthday gift, though.
Listen to, watch me. He asked you to marry him and gave you a ring on your birthday. It was an engagement ring. Did you show it to people as an engagement ring?
Yes.
Did you say to them, this is my engagement ring?
It was.
Did you say to them, this is my engagement ring?
Yes.
You didn't say, this is my birthday present. You got my drift, Miss Smith.
Yes.
If you broke off the engagement, it means the marriage never took place. He's entitled to the ring back. And if he wants to throw it in the lake, he can throw it in the lake. And if he wants to throw it down a sewer, he can do that too. Okay? See how fair I am?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you have any of her CDs, Mr. MacArthur?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
I'm not getting myself totally exercised over the CDs. People who were engaged for 2 years, if all they're fighting about is CDs, that means they're not very mature.
I also have CDs that he returned to me that were destroyed when I picked them up.
I'd like to see those.
This is only the ones that were returned to me. That's not the ones that he still has possession of. Some of those are expensive CDs. Some of the CDs that he still has are very expensive.
I don't know what you mean they're destroyed. I have no idea what that means.
If you look at all of them, each of them has a gouge going from the center to the outside. They're completely destroyed. There's absolutely no way of
Well, this one. Yeah, this one is too.
those.
How did that happen, Mr. MacArthur?
I don't know, Your Honor. Her CDs sat in my trunk. I use my car for work, so I have tools coming in and out of my car every day. I don't
Your
pay
Honor,
attention.
my CDs were in a CD case.
Yeah, Mr. MacArthur. That looks like somebody purposely did that.
And it's
there.
not, it's identical.
Shh. You know how fair I am. This looks like somebody purposely did that. But doesn't that look to you as if somebody did that with something?
Yeah, by all means.
You know what I mean, Mr. MacArthur?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, I don't think she would do that to her own CDs, because that would be stupid, especially since she broke up with you. But it would seem to me that you were pretty angry. So I have to put 1 and 1 together. That makes you. All right. So now you have these destroyed CDs, which I am placing squarely at the foot of him.
That doesn't include the ones that he still has.
I just answered your question about that 2 minutes ago. What part of I don't care don't you understand? There's no excuse for him vandalizing your property.
What's the excuse for him posting vulgar, slanderous stuff on the
Well,
internet?
that I want to see. There's no excuse for it. There's a reason that he might have done it, but that doesn't mean that
He
there's an excuse.
says that he never did it, although he called my house and he called my mother at her work.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me what he told your mother unless your mother is here. Is this what you're telling me?
Yes, it
Came
is.
off the internet?
Yes, it is. I was told to read that.
Shh. He doesn't mention your name here.
No, but it says to my ex, you know who you are, and I was told that
Don't tell me what you were
wanted me
told.
to read it.
Listen to me. Don't tell me what you were told. That's hearsay.
And I
There's no.
called
Listen
him-
to me. He says, as far as his ex is concerned, one day the sun will die and the night will crawl. Until then, until I see your world implode, I wish you death and suffering, misery to spare. To my ex, you know who you are. Right?
I called him right after I read that, and I said, what is this about? He said, oh, I didn't mean to hurt you. I said, you wrote that, yet you didn't mean to. How could that not hurt me?
Ms. Smith, you have to understand what slander is. Slander is something that you say that is not true about somebody in a way that they can be identified. For instance, if he said, my ex, Jennifer Smith, has the following diseases, so everybody better stay away from her, and that's not true, then you can sue him for slander. I'm speaking, you're not listening. That's slander. If he wrote you a letter, and in the letter said to you, I wish you had a slow, painful death, and I was there to watch. I wish you suffer and get a vile disease. And he wrote that to you in a letter. That's not slander. That's the way he feels. That's protected speech. If you wrote this, I assume you did. He's entitled to do that.
It is slanderous, though, because at the top of it, it says, I just left someone who did nothing but use me for my money, and when she was done, she went and found someone new to do the same to them. My current boyfriend was hesitant about even talking to me because of that, because he assumed that because he stated it, that...
Should listen to me. Who showed your boyfriend this?
I did.
Listen, I would like to... Listen to me. I want you to kiss the ground. You got the ring back, and that you're moving on with your life, because she's not wrapped too tight. You got it? Good. But you can't scratch her CDs, because that's childish. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
That you got to give her $150 for. The rest of your stuff is nonsense. What'd you do with the ring, by the way?
Threw it in a lake.
Attaboy.
Angry about her new relationship.
Yeah, this is case number 208 on the calendar in the matter of Skelsey versus Roberts. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated and have a seat.
Thank you, Bert.
You're welcome, Judge.
Mr. Skelsey, you and Miss Roberts, according to the complaint that I've read, dated for a period of time. You claimed that you made her a loan of $250 at some point for rent. In addition, after you were no longer together, you never lived together, but you probably stayed over occasionally at her house because you claim you have some clothes at her house that she refuses to give you.
A few nights, yes, Your Honor.
Miss Roberts says that the $250 that you gave her for her rent was a gift, and that everything in the house that was yours, you took. When did you date Miss Roberts? From when to when?
We met each other in January of this year. We met off a chat line kind of thing. We just started dating right off the bat.
You both live in the same community?
Yes, in the same area, yeah.
And when was this loan that you gave to her?
The loan was in May. She was having financial difficulties.
Tell me about the conversation that you had with her when you discovered she was in financial distress.
Actually, she asked me. She said,
No.
She did. She asked me. She goes, I'll do anything for you. Can you loan me some money? I'm having financial difficulties. I said, can you ask, one of the fathers of your children
He offered to give
do
it to
Listen
this?
to me, Miss Roberts. Don't speak again until it's your turn.
And she said that she didn't want to do it because she was scared of like a custody thing. I said, okay, I understand. I have the extra money. I'm going to need the money back soon, but I have the money right now available to you. I said, so here's the money. I wrote it out to her landlord.
You have a copy of the check?
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
Bert, she chewing gum.
Chewing gum?
Yes.
Well, you shouldn't do that.
Okay, May 23rd. Was she late in her rent?
She wasn't working because she was sick,
No, no,
so
no.
was she late in her rent?
No, I'm asking you. This is dated May 23rd. Was this for May's
Yes.
rent?
Yes.
So you were almost a month late in your
Yes.
rent. Okay, so that's the loan. She never paid you back.
No, ma'am.
When did you stop dating Miss Roberts?
Oh, we stopped dating in like the end of February. We became friends with like benefits kind of thing, and I'm not one to move fast with a relationship, and her feelings moved fast with me.
So you stopped dating in February,
Yeah.
but remained friends.
Oh yeah, close friends, very
Good.
close.
And shortly after the loan, you stopped speaking?
Almost automatically right after the loan. She said she was busy with work and everything else, but all of a sudden a day-to-day, call or hanging out or whatever becomes, I didn't hear from her for like a week.
Okay. And what clothes do you have at her house, Mr.
Nike
Strzok?
sweatshirt, a Champion sweatshirt, and a Nike pair of shorts.
Okay. You're not going to bother me with those things, are you? You know how many years I went to school? You know how many years? A lot of years. You don't
More
think
than
I'm
me.
going to be bothered by a Nike sweatshirt or a Nike sneaker, or whatever it is that you're just talking about.
I value my clothes.
Yeah, good. Shouldn't have left them at her house.
I thought I could trust her.
Listen to me. This is not a give and take.
All right.
Do
Sorry.
you understand?
Mm-hmm.
We're not on an equal footing.
Okay.
I will discuss this alleged loan.
I also have a proof on a tape recorder.
That
She admits to borrowing the money. I got it off my answering machine.
I'm going to hear it.
Right now?
Now's the time.
2 p.m. You are out of your mind if you think you're going to be taking me to court and thinking you're going to make $100 more than what you let me borrow for clothes. Come on now, Rob. It's ridiculous. There's clothes that you gave me to see what the you get out of me, all right? You want to do it this nasty way? I'm going to be a nasty and do it evil too.
Thank you. There There is a way to communicate, Miss Roberts, that doesn't involve profanity. You do understand that?
Yes.
Now, how old are you, madam?
26.
And how many children do you have?
I have 4.
And how many fathers do your 4 children
2.
have? 2 for the youngest, 2 for the oldest?
Yep.
No, she told me. Sorry.
How old are your children?
9, 8, 6, and 5.
Okay. Why did you run short of money?
Because I was out of work, I was sick.
What was the matter with you?
I had strep and mono
For how long?
for 2 weeks.
So what did you say to the plaintiff?
We were friends. I cried to him that I was late in rent. He offered to give me the money. At first, I said I didn't want to. And then, like a week later, I mentioned it again, how I was stressed out. And
No,
he
you didn't
offered
mention it again. That's not a mention. First, you told him you cried, offered you the money. You said no. Okay? Then it's over. You say no.
Right.
But then a week later, what did you say to him?
Then I was crying again, stressed out that I was behind. And then he offered again. And then I said yes.
You asked.
Shh, 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 shh. Remember what I said to her?
I did. Sorry.
So he helped you out with the rent.
Yes.
And then you went back to work.
Yes.
So why don't you pay him back?
Because then I got threatened with court.
Can I explain?
Well, just a second.
And it wasn't a loan to begin
Just a
with.
second. You know you have to pay rent. Miss Roberts, listen to me. Rent isn't something that comes up and bites you on the behind like a surprise. You know the first of every month you have to pay rent, right?
Yes.
This isn't an unexpected medical bill, an unexpected bill because your generator broke in your car, an unexpected bill because the brakes went dead. This is a set bill, you know. $250 for rent.
Your Honor, can I explain something?
Yes.
She said she was going to pay me on a certain day. I didn't get a phone call. I tried calling her 1,000,000 times in one day. I went to her house, not trying to harass, but, you know, make good on the deal. We're friends. Why are you going to avoid me? And then she tells me that she's stiffing her landlord because she wants to get out of her lease. So what makes her think she ain't going to stiff me?
Just a second. What do you mean she was stiffing her landlord? What
She
does that
doesn't even live at her current address.
Yes, I do.
Well, you told me you were going to stiff your landlord and your
How
phone
do you,
got shut
listen
off.
to me, did she explain that to you, sir? How she was going to stiff her landlord just by not paying him rent?
Said that she wanted to get out of the lease, and the only way she could get out of it is by not paying her rent.
So then
I'm
why
still
did you
at
give
my
her 200?
address.
Shh, then why did you give her $250?
Because she didn't have the money for rent, and her landlord said she'd get thrown out on the street, and I did it for the kids. I didn't do it for her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He asked me how come I seemed so distant, and I told him because I was dating someone else, and he got mad.
Oh, that's a lie. Oh, you were dirty.
And later today,
You're going to tell me the truth today, even if it was a little different from what you told your mother. Got it?
Yes.
Because otherwise, bad things are going to happen.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robert Skelsey says ex-girlfriend Chalise Roberts owes for rent and the return of his clothes. Chalise says the money and clothes were both gifts.
All right, Miss Roberts, was he annoying you after you stopped taking his phone calls?
He wasn't annoying me. We were still really good friends. And we went for a walk one time. I do long walks to exercise. He came with me, and he asked me how come I haven't talked to him really, how come I seem so distant. And I told him because I was kind of seeing someone else, and he got mad.
Oh, that's a lie.
Shh. Just,
I knew you were, though.
just
Oh, you were dirty.
listen to me. If you open your mouth again, I'm going to say goodbye. Do you
Okay.
understand?
Yeah. Wow.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. You got to understand, please. Sorry.
Miss Roberts, I want you to pay very careful attention to me. My sense is that you've made a certain amount of mistakes in your life. I think based on your history that that's a fair statement. You have 4 children, only 2 of them live with you. You got yourself in a financial pickle to the extent that you couldn't pay rent at your age with 4 children. That suggests to me that you've made certain tactical errors in your life.
No, I don't think so.
Well, from a more mature perspective, I'm telling you that if you have a 9-year-old child and you're 26 years old, then you've made certain mistakes in your life. You have to
It's
wait
not a
until you
mistake
grow
just
up.
because I had a
You have to
young-
wait until you grow up to have children. Otherwise, you have 2 children who don't live with you. Now,
That's not even
what
an
you
issue.
don't want to do is make another mistake. Uncross your arms.
Sorry.
He can be a problem. I want you to take that from somebody who has been around people for a very long time in this circumstance, and I'm telling you that if pushed, he can be a problem. So what you have to do is you have to say, do I want another problem in my life? Do I want this man angry with me, lives close by, I have a new relationship? Do I want him to have any connection to me that I can avoid? If not, and the only thing that's holding us together is a $250 rent check and a champion sweatshirt. I can either have peace or I can have grief. And if you're a mature 26-year-old, you say, $250. Price of peace, it's well worth it. Do you
The only
understand?
payment he wanted back was sex for that money.
Do you
That's all.
understand?
That's all he
Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Does that make sense to you? For $250 and a champion sweatshirt, I can have peace. Or I can have him annoyed with me, feel as if he's been used, feel as if he's been taken, feel as if he's been abused, feel as if he's been made a fool of.
I did all the work there, too.
So,
Sorry. Not ever again.
do you understand what I mean? He can't control himself.
Oh, I know.
That's what you want?
No.
You're an idiot if that's what you want. So I'm going to help you along. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $250. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was one of them things, let me borrow the money and I'll do anything for you.
He's just jealous that I moved on and that I'm not giving him sex anymore.
We were intimate at the time, so I made, sexual innuendos.
When he gave me the money, not the loan, not the borrowing that he's talking about, when he gave it to me, he said, well, I get sex when I want it. And I just snickered.
I do miss her and I do care about her.
When he got scared when we were serious and backed out, I decided I wanted something more serious.
It's one step to getting to know somebody.
And I couldn't be with him.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Skalkos versus Boucher. Step forward, please.
Deborah Skalkos is suing 9-year-old Russell Boucher Jr. and his mother, Christy, for damage to her car. Deborah says Russell dinged it with a shopping cart.
Miss Skalkos, is that right?
Yes.
According to your complaint, this young man right here accidentally dented your car with a shopping cart.
Correct.
You believed he and his mother are responsible
Correct.
for the dent. Miss Boucher says neither she nor her son are responsible for the dent on your car. So tell me where you were when this happened and when.
Okay. On the evening of April 20th, I was driving my car in a shopping area, and as I was getting ready to cross a speed bump, this little boy here, he yells, "Watch out," and a shopping cart came crashing into my car. And he says, "I'm sorry, ma'am, it slipped out of my hand." And there were cars behind me, and I wanted to pull into a parking stall to get out and look at my car. And I did, and there was a small dent in my car, and then I tried to find the little boy, and he was gone, and I didn't know what store he went into.
Okay, so you did not see him with the shopping cart in his hand?
I saw him pulling out the shopping carts, and it came crashing into my car.
Madam, I want to know exactly what it is that you saw. Don't make anything up.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
I read your complaint, and what you just testified to is different from your complaint. What you just testified to was you saw the little boy.
Yes, I did.
And you saw the cart hit your car.
Correct.
But you never saw his hand on the cart.
Correct.
And he said to you, "I'm sorry, it slipped out of my hand."
Correct.
Is that what you saw?
That's what happened, yes.
Is that what you saw, is my
Yes.
question. So you didn't see him trying to pull the cart out of the long row of carts, and it
Correct.
slipped out of his hand, right?
Right.
All right, because that's what you wrote in your complaint. So that was a mistake. You were mistaken about that.
Yes.
Should not be mistaken about that, because you signed it and you read it. You say, "I noticed a young boy standing on the sidewalk and pulling a shopping cart out of the cart holder." And my question to you is, you didn't see that.
I didn't see him pull the cart out.
All you saw was him standing there,
Yes.
the cart coming towards you,
Correct.
and the cart hitting your car.
Correct.
And then he yelled, "Watch out."
Yes, he did.
And then, according to you, he said, "I'm so sorry, ma'am."
Yes, he did.
He didn't say, "I'm sorry, it slipped out of my hand." That's not what you said in your complaint.
But that is what he said. He said it slipped out of my hand.
Okay. Tell me your name.
Russell Boucher,
Russell. How old are you?
9.
Have you ever watched this program?
Yes,
How many times have you watched it?
a couple of times.
And I think that your mom is very proud and very supportive of you, right?
Yes.
And I think you're a nice boy. So you're going to tell me the truth today about what happened that day, even if it was a little different from what you told your mother. Got it?
Yes.
Because otherwise, bad things are going to happen here.
Okay.
Got it? Okay. Now, your mom went in shopping,
Yes.
and at some point she told you that she needed another cart.
Yes.
So what did you do?
I went out to get another cart, and when I went out the exit, there was one right next to the exit on the left-hand side. So then I was grabbing the cart, and then I saw it going. I ran after it, and I yelled,
Now, you
"Watch
grabbed
out."
the cart. Stop right there.
Okay.
You grabbed the cart. How did you grab it? Show me with your hands.
I went like this.
So you grabbed it and you touched the handlebars?
Yes.
And then you tried to wheel it around?
Yes.
And then what happened?
And then when I saw that shopping cart going,
So it slipped out of your hand.
because like there was two carts. I was grabbing one out of the cart stack, and then there was one on the side of the exit. I was grabbing the one out of the cart stack. I didn't grab it completely. It was halfway out, but it wasn't that one that went. It was the one next to the exit that went.
Okay,
And I
but you
ran
touched
after
it. Your cart touched it. The one that you were pulling touched it.
Yes.
And then you went inside. When you went inside, did you tell your mother?
Yes.
What did you tell?
Cart that was rolling down. I started running after it, and I couldn't catch it. I said, "Watch out!" And then that's all I told her.
But you didn't tell her about the fact that you were touching the cart with the other cart, and that's when it started to roll down.
No.
All right, she's going to love equipped to do. I certainly have some trouble trying to get those carts out of those cart holders, too, when we go shopping. You pull one, and all of a sudden you get 30. You don't want 30, all you want is one. But I'm very glad you told the truth today. Okay?
Yes.
Good. Got it, Mrs. Boucher? It's a little different. Right. Had a major deal. Good for you.
Thank you.
Told the truth today? If you had told your mother the truth right then and there, we might have avoided this whole problem. So you have to remember that for the future, okay?
Yes.
How much is the cost to fix your car?
$601.
Wow, let me see. What kind of a car do you have?
I have a 2004 Toyota Highlander.
Let me see. You have pictures of the car?
Yes.
There's a ding in it.
Yes. That's it.
There are two dings.
The shopping cart, it dinged it.
Well, I'm going to give you some advice, okay? I also have a very nice car. And somebody last week dinged my brand new car. And we called the ding doctor. And for $150, the ding doctor comes to your house and pulls out the ding. And that's $600, $150. And I am sure, where do you live?
In Rancho Cucamonga.
Ah, that's in California.
Yes.
Where every person has 9 cars. I guarantee you, you will find a ding doctor for $300 that will come and pull out these 2 dings in your car. Okay? Not $600. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $300. That's all. Thank you.
This is case number 278 on the calendar in the matter of Pasquinelli versus Weathers. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Bird,
Yep.
would you get the defendant a sweater, please, or have her go outside and get herself a sweater?
Okay.
She looks cold to me. We'll be with you in a moment, sir. Oh, that's much better. Much, much better. Mr. Pasquinelli, according to your complaint, you and Miss Weathers lived together for a period of time. You rented an apartment together, you were splitting the bills. And then you were deployed to the Gulf.
Yes.
And it was your arrangement with the defendant that she was going to stay in the apartment, that you would continue to pay half the rent, and she would pay half the rent, and she would pay all the utilities since she was living in the apartment.
Yes.
You returned from the Gulf and found that she had not paid the rent, that the utilities were never paid, and according to you, she owes you a bundle of money.
Yes.
The defendant says that she only lived in the apartment for 5 months after you left, and you agreed to cover her rent because she was a little short, and in addition, she never received the utility bills. They went directly to your parents' house. That's your defense?
Correct.
All right. When did you move into the apartment together, Miss Withers?
November.
What was your financial agreement?
That we would split the rent and the utilities while he was
How much was
away.
your share of the rent?
$675.
Is that correct, sir?
No, it's actually $575.
And how long did you pay the $575?
Up through January, February.
Through January. When were you deployed to the Gulf, sir?
January 17.
Now, what about the utilities? Did you pay half of the utilities up until he went away?
I did.
Is that correct, sir?
Yes, she did.
Now, how did your agreement change, Miss Weathers, when he left for the Gulf and he was no longer living there?
I actually ended up getting a DUI because my truck broke. I had a tire. It was a brand new truck, and he had said that while I was paying my $3,000 lawyer and all my fines and my truck, that I wouldn't have to pay and that we would do it. I would get it
No,
back
just
to
look
you
at me.
eventually.
And what?
That it was until I was able to. I could just pay what I could.
Was there a full sentence there someplace that I didn't hear?
I don't know how to break it down exactly.
Try speaking in a full sentence, you know, with a beginning and a middle and an end and a start and a finish.
I would just pay what I could when I could.
There you go. That wasn't hard, was it?
It was fine.
So how much did you pay?
$300.
When did you deposit $300?
February.
Show me.
I know he has his bank statement he can prove. I even called his mother to get his bank information.
Well, if you called his mother to get his bank information, that means that what you were doing is you were paying the entire rent out of his bank account. Is that right?
Oh, before he left, he gave them checks in full.
Really?
Yes, Your Honor.
How was she supposed to pay her half?
I left her deposit slips from my bank account to deposit it directly into my checking account.
So it was all taken out of your bank, and
Yes.
she never deposited any money. She says in February she deposited $300. I'm just curious. Do you have any indication of that?
I don't, but I will say that's true. She did deposit that money.
So your agreement now, according to you, now that we got a full sentence, Ms. Withers, was that when you could, you would pay him back.
That's correct.
After the $300, when did you start paying him back?
I didn't.
Why?
Because we were talking, and it was just pretty much that whenever I could pay it, I would, and at the time, I couldn't. So eventually, you know, we would just come out in the end. I have an email.
There's a sentence there.
It's coming.
There's a sentence there. I know it's coming.
It's coming. I have an email. There's the sentence from him.
I have an email. That's perfect. 4 words. Sounds just about right.
So, just basically him saying that he knows that I can't pay it, and eventually we will get through it.
Well, that's pretty much what you said. I don't know what was awesome. Something was awesome before we got to the rent.
Oh, we did thousands of emails, so the headlines were a little wacky.
Oh, I see. And he does indicate here, I know you are trying and doing what you can, and I know you'll get me when you can. So, what are you doing now, Miss Withers?
Now I don't understand.
What are you doing now?
In regard to paying him back?
In regard to your life, what are you doing?
I'm an accountant.
An accountant. That's a good thing. So you deal in numbers.
Correct.
And who do you work for?
I was working for Quintera. Right now I'm in between.
How are you supporting yourself again?
Well, unemployment.
Who is this?
This is Anthony.
Anthony. I assume Anthony has a last name?
Palazzo.
And what does Anthony do?
He's also an accountant. He's my boyfriend.
Do you live together?
Correct.
So now you're paying the bills.
Yes.
Not like that at all. This is...
Just a second. Good for you.
That's not the case. Don't make it look like that, because that's not the case.
Looks like the case to me. Looks like he went overseas. I'm sure it wasn't easy over there, and he's expecting you to do the right thing. Instead of doing the right thing, you got yourself drunk. You had an accident with your car.
Correct.
It's not his fault that you had to pay $3,000 in lawyers and fines and everything else that you had to pay because of your own irresponsible behavior while he was away. And so my question is, when do you expect to start paying him back? He expected you to pay him back.
Actually, before he did this, I had set it up where I would be paying him $300 a month. And he was okay with it. And the next thing I know, I'm getting this in the mail. Right after we had had a phone conversation, I had given him $100 just for that week because he had come back.
What did she say when she gave you the $100?
She didn't deliver it to me. Her boyfriend did.
And what did he say?
He didn't really say much.
Stand up. Anthony,
Yes.
what did you say when you delivered the $100?
I was just the carrier. I was just dropping it off, gave him
All right,
$100.
good. So you had a conversation with Miss Withers. Is that right?
Correct.
And what did Miss Withers tell you about the $100?
She said that she owed him $100, drop it off after work. And on my way home from work, I just dropped it off, didn't have any conversation.
Anthony.
Yes.
If my girlfriend with whom I was living, or my boyfriend with whom
Yes.
I was living, said to me, here, take $100 to my ex-boyfriend, I owe it to him, I would ask, what for? Unless you're a drone and just do
No, I
things
knew
as you're
she
told.
owed him money.
Okay. Now,
But
what did
she
you...
couldn't
Stop
afford that.
speaking.
Okay.
You knew she owed him money.
Yes.
Is that because she told you she owed him money?
Yes.
And how much money did she say she owed him?
She did not tell me exact amount.
What did she tell him she owed the money for?
She didn't tell me either. I just
And
knew.
you didn't ask?
I didn't ask.
You are some inquisitive guy.
Thanks. Thanks.
You're only interested in the important things, right?
That's correct.
Oh, that's right. I'm not going there.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Now, you, Anthony, look like a relatively normal person. So don't play games with me, sir. Do we understand each other?
We do.
You don't want me to embarrass you, do you? I'm capable of it, you know.
And later today,
2:30 in the morning is not an appropriate time to go visiting, sir.
It's a booty call, Your Honor.
What?
It's a booty call. She always calls
Don't be
late.
smart.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jonathan Pasquinelli says former live-in girlfriend Laura Weathers owes for rent and bills while he was deployed in Iraq.
What do you do for a living, sir? You're an accountant?
I'm actually a financial advisor.
So you're not a dummy, right?
No, I'm not.
If my girlfriend said to me, I owe my ex-boyfriend money, you would say, what do you owe money for, honey? How much do you owe him? Did you have a payment schedule? What are you going to do? Those are the questions that a normal person would ask. Now, you, Anthony, look like a relatively normal person.
Yeah.
So don't play games with me, sir. Do we understand each other?
We do.
You don't want me to embarrass you, do you?
No.
Any more than I've done already? I'm capable of it, you know.
Okay.
Now, when did you have a discussion with her about how much and what she owed him the money for?
We really never discussed how much she owed. I just knew that she owed him money, and that was it. I didn't really want to know how much. I didn't want to get involved because I didn't want to get in the middle between money because I know how people act around money, so.
You didn't want to be responsible.
Correct.
Now, Anthony.
Yes.
That's smart.
Thank you.
Because if you say, how much do you owe, and she tells you, the temptation might be there to say, let me give it to you because I don't want you to have any connection with him anymore.
Correct.
So you didn't do that.
I didn't want to know. And
Why didn't you want to know, Anthony?
Because I didn't want to know how much it was. It could have been a lot, it could have been a little. I didn't want to know.
Well, you said I didn't want to know 3 times, and so I'm asking you, why didn't you want to know? Weren't you curious?
No.
Weren't you a little curious,
I was
Anthony?
not. Not at all.
When were you deployed, sir? In January?
January 17th.
When did she get home?
July 31st.
So she was there ostensibly for 5 months, is that right?
I don't know when she left.
I don't care when she left. She was
Neither.
there for 5 months.
Fine.
That she owes you money for. And she owes you $2,875. Now, tell me about the utility bills.
When I got home, I had a $617 gas and electric bill.
Can I see it, please? What were you doing there?
I wasn't even there.
You were making wine? What were you doing?
I have no idea. I
Actually,
wasn't.
this is gas and electric also. And these are unopened. Just, I didn't know if...
Can I see the unopened ones,
Yes.
please?
This is actually cable, which I'm not allowed to have cable in San Diego anymore because the bill's
Okay.
not paid.
You live at 9215?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and these were sent to 9215? Well, she paid you $300, so I'm deducting that from the $28.75, leaving $25.75. And here is a bill. Ooh, past due, date mailed, May 3rd. You would still be there, right?
No, I moved out in the beginning, in the beginning of May. I wasn't there.
Well, this is mailed on May 3rd, so you owe $574.27 for this. Cable.
I tried disconnecting that because, number 1, I'm not home. Number 2, we have no computer, which we needed internet for. And because my name wasn't on it, I couldn't disconnect it.
Why didn't you email him?
Name's on the bill.
Shh. Why didn't you email him and tell him?
No, that's the time.
Listen to me! Why didn't you email him and tell him to cancel
I did.
it?
I had emailed
Show me.
him.
Show me.
I don't have that email.
Anthony,
Yes.
where were you working in May?
In May, I was working at Quintera.
And where was she working?
Quintera.
Also.
That's how I met him.
So that's how you met, in May. When did she move in with you, Anthony?
I would say
In July.
Jump! Didn't ask you. I
June.
asked him.
beginning of June.
So from May, whatever, when you moved out until you moved in with Anthony here, where were you living?
I was just staying at friends as I was going back and forth because it was closer to my house.
What house?
Or not my house, but to my work. It was just easier because I lived pretty far from work.
Ever been married, Anthony?
No.
Don't do this one.
You getting the drift?
I do, I do.
You do get, I know that you get it, Anthony. I'm looking at your eyes.
She went wine tasting and forgot to pay the bill in February.
I didn't go wine
Listen.
tasting.
You told-
Sir, listen to me. Very
There was
carefully.
a $69 late payment on that bill.
$3,688.
Sounds good to me.
Very good. And say, who is this young lady?
This is my sister.
Very nice young lady, very nice. Thank you. Say, thank you. I got home safely, right?
Yes.
I didn't make any big mistakes over there, and I didn't make any big mistakes over here. Got it?
Got it.
That's all. Thank you.
Parties are executed. You may step out.
I felt it was falling apart the second week we moved in together.
It's over, it's done with, and we don't need to start talking schmack. I just hate that he has such a big heart and he was taken advantage of.
They said there's food left out. They said it's just disgusting looking. They said it's unfit for living.
He's emailing me now, trying to break us up.
It's over, it's done with. I just want him out of my life. I want to just be done with it, through.
She's nuts.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lane versus Eberspacher. Step forward.
27-year-old Lisa Lane is suing her ex-boyfriend, 27-year-old Scott Eberspacher, for the cost to fix her bedroom window. Lisa claims Scott was trying to wake her up by throwing rocks.
All right, Lisa, how long were you dating Scott here when he made this nocturnal visit to your house?
About a month and a half.
Who do you live with?
I live with myself and my son.
And Scott was supposed to be over, according to your complaint, at about 10 o'clock that evening. Or he's
Right.
supposed to be over that evening, and he shows up at what time, Scott?
I got there around approximately 2:20 in the morning.
Why?
There was no set time, Your Honor.
How old is her child?
He would be 4.
There was no set time?
He was supposed to be
2:30
there
in the
before-
morning is not an appropriate time to go visiting, sir.
It's a booty call, Your Honor.
What?
It's a booty call. She always calls
Don't be
later.
smart.
He's supposed to be
Just
there
a
before
second.
9.
Don't be... Listen, when I speak to you, you'll answer me.
Right.
According to your complaint, he was supposed to be there at 10. He wasn't there at 10. You locked the doors. He came 2 o'clock in the morning, rang the bell, whatever. You didn't answer. So he went to your window and he threw a rock at your window to get your attention. He got your attention. He broke the window. He came in. You spent the night together. Later on, you said, I want him to pay for the window.
I didn't know the window was broken.
All
until the
right.
next
Later
morning.
on, they found the window broken and you want him to pay for the window. That's what the case is.
I have a videotape showing a scenario of how he did it.
I don't care how he did it. You're not dating him anymore?
No.
What does that mean? That was a hesitation.
No, I do not date him anymore. He's too irresponsible.
So you haven't... When was the last time you saw him, Miss Lane? Is not an answer, madam.
I don't remember. It was like a month or so ago.
And when did this incident happen?
It was after the window was broke, because we joked about it, because he didn't really mean to break the window.
When did he break the window?
In April.
Okay. She says you broke the window, sir.
I didn't break the window, Your Honor.
I have the text message where he says he'll pay for it.
Oh. Is that dated?
Yes.
Okay. Show it to Bird, because he is
'Cause
my
I
electronic...
sent-
I'm speaking. He is my electronic genius.
And so, if you just want to give that to the judge, then.
No, he doesn't give it to me. He's my electronic eyes and ears.
Scott Gold, you want me to find, but I say that this is why you pay association and insurance. I will probably never talk to you again if you want to go that route, so it's up to you.
What's the date of that?
May
Just go to the date.
May 29th.
Very good. And did you fix the window?
Yes, I did. And I have pictures of when it was broken.
I'd like to see the picture.
And I have the actual rocks, too. Here's the receipt, and here's the pictures when it was broken. Do you want the rocks?
You want the rocks?
No. Stick the rocks back where they were. These are the best pictures you could take.
I took a video flicks on my camera phone, and that's the best that we could come up with for a still shot. But I have the videotape right here that
I'm not interested in it.
Okay.
April 27th at 2:20 a.m. is when I went over to Lisa's house. And at that time, when I did, in fact, I tossed a ball, and then I tossed a very tiny pebble the size of a dime. Did not break the window. Matter of fact, the next morning when she had walked out, we'd walked out together, there was no broken glass or anything to my appearance or her appearance.
That's not English, to my appearance or to her appearance.
Okay. To my knowledge and to her knowledge, there was nothing broken.
Don't tell me about her knowledge. So your knowledge,
To my knowledge, there was
no
nothing
broken
broken.
window. Well,
Correct.
then your knowledge is limited. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $360. That's all.
Parties. Crescent. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
What's your name?
Judith Savaggio.
Savaggio. Are you the girlfriend?
Yes, I'm his friend.
Good. Miss Savaggio, where do you live?
Bakersfield, California.
And where does Miss Crescent live?
She is my next door neighbor.
And how long have you lived there?
6 years, just over.
And how long have you lived there?
42 years.
And how long have you and Mr. Lawson been friends?
Off and on for about 5 years.
More recently, how long on?
Several months.
And when you say you're friends, he says he's your boyfriend. Would that be true?
There would have been a time I would have used that term, yes, Your Honor.
Maybe not now.
Correct.
And do you rent your home or do you own it?
I rent.
Do you rent or own?
I own.
Mr. Lawson, this is what this lawsuit is about. It is your claim that the defendant caused damage to your car with a squeegee.
That's correct.
And it is your claim that you did so purposely
Absolutely.
because you were involved in some sort of an altercation with her. She says she was merely defending herself. But I want to go back a little bit because I've read your complaint very carefully. Your complaint says that you and Mrs. Savaggio were boyfriend and girlfriend, and that she was having some trouble with Miss Crescent. Is that true?
Yes, Miss Crescent chopped off some limbs of a tree.
Just a second. The answer would be yes, you were having trouble. When did the trouble with Miss Crescent begin?
It was approximately the first week of June of last year.
June of 2003.
Correct.
Now, prior to June of 2003, had you been reasonable neighbors with each other?
To a degree, yes.
Fine. And then something happened. According to what I read from Mr. Lawson, she cut off some limbs of a tangerine tree and left them on your lawn. Something like that.
She would have had to pick them up and throw them over my fence.
Just a second. That's what it was about. Mr. Lawson says that in retaliation for that, he knew that Miss Cresson objected to his parking his car in front of her house. So he decided to irritate her by parking his car in front of her house permanently. That's what you say in your complaint, correct?
Until such time.
That's what you say in your complaint. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then what happened, Mr. Lawson?
I had left it there for a couple of days, Judge, and then I drove to
Why did you leave it there for a couple of days?
Because she had failed to remove the branches that she placed over on Judith's property.
What does that have to do with you?
Well, it was upsetting Judy.
Just a second. Just a second. If it was upsetting Judy, don't you think that she's intelligent enough to take care of it herself?
Yes, she's intelligent enough to take care of it herself.
Right. So you instead decided to make things worse between these two neighbors. You sort of sauntered in and said, I'm going to show my muscle because I'm a mature, thoughtful individual who, instead of trying to ameliorate a situation, I'm going to exacerbate a situation. So you, as an irritant, parked your car in front of her house. Now, after you did that, Mr. Lawson, tell me what happened.
Well, Your Honor, I had drove over to an appointment in my other vehicle.
Oh, just a second. So you have two cars?
Absolutely. I have a pickup truck and a sedan.
Good. And I assume that at the time, you also had your own apartment.
That is correct.
So what you're telling me, Mr. Lawson, is that you left, despite the fact that you lived elsewhere, you used the front of her house as a parking lot for your pickup truck.
No, Your Honor. That property is on a corner, and I use a side lot, which is completely out of her visibility all the time on the other street.
So when you said here, I decided to begin parking my car in front of her house, although I know it irritated her, that was a lie.
I park it in front of her house because it's not illegal to park in front of her house. It's a city street. It's owned by the public. I pay taxes.
Okay. So tell me what happened after you parked one of your two vehicles in front of her house all the time, sir.
Okay, well, I had driven, Your Honor, over to an appointment, and after returning over to Judy's house, which I visit all the time.
How much all the time, Mr. Lawson? Every day?
Every day.
3 times a week?
Yes.
Every day. So you returned to her house. And what time was it that you returned to her house after an appointment, Mr. Lawson?
It's approximately midday, 1 o'clock.
Okay. What did you find when you got there?
When I got there, I found that there was 3 screens from Linda that were leaning up against my pickup truck that was parked at the curb.
What did you do when you saw the 3 screens that were leaning against your truck?
I got out of my car and I went over to the passenger side of the pickup truck that had the screens, noticing that Linda was all the way over there next to her house, the windows that she was squeegeeing, and I grabbed one of the screens and I threw it out in the middle of the street.
You grabbed one or all 3?
I believe I got to the second one before she bolted away from the windows, walking 30, or not walking, but running 35 feet away from this truck, and started chasing me down the street with a squeegee in hand like she wanted to bury it in my back.
Well, Mr. Lawson, why did you, instead of taking the screens and throwing them in the middle of the street, why didn't you just take them and throw them off your car?
Well, I probably could have done that.
Well, I'm just asking you why you didn't, sir.
Because she wouldn't pick up the limbs that she threw over the fence in Judy's house.
How old are you?
I'm 53, Your Honor.
Grow up. Don't you have better things to do than to create havoc? You're going to move on. She's been living in her house for 42 years. She's been living in her house for 6 years. You think she needs you to create more trouble?
No, Your Honor.
Right. All right. First of all, let's get to these limbs. I want you to tell me what happened to these limbs of the tangerine tree, because I want to hear it from you, and it better be the truth. Got it?
Got it.
Good. Let's go.
I trimmed the leaves that were, the branches that were hanging over into my yard.
Okay.
And
just a second. So the tree is in her backyard?
Front yard.
Front yard.
And you trimmed the branches?
Correct.
And what did you do with the branches after you trimmed them?
I set them very neatly by the fence.
On her side?
Correct.
Why?
Your Honor. Because I had no room in my garbage can to put them.
Well, that's wrong, my dear. That's wrong. That's not neighborly. That's the wrong thing to do. You have perfect right to trim the branches that are hanging over your side of the property. You trim them and you cart them away. And if you don't have room in your garbage can, you wait until you do, because I assume that they have been growing for a long time. And if 1 week you don't have room, wait for the next week. So that was the wrong thing to do, correct?
Correct.
So who asked you to remove them?
No one, Your Honor.
Did you ask her to remove?
I wrote her a letter.
Did you receive her letter?
Yes, I did receive.
And what did the letter say?
In essence, the letter said that if I didn't remove them, that she was going to sue me. I called the owner, and he removed them.
When did he remove them?
Saturday morning.
So how long were they there in the yard?
2 or 3 days.
Is that right?
About a week.
Okay, but the owner of the premises that you rent ultimately removed
Yes,
them.
his son lives a half a block away. His son came and did it.
Fine. Terrific. So that's over. Now, how much after that incident did we have this parking in front?
The parking in front, the limbs were cut about on Monday. I'm not sure. I didn't see her cut them. I think it was Monday we discovered them. I sent her the notice on...
When?
The next day, as soon as I noticed.
Tuesday.
Well, on the following Thursday, I had visitors coming to my home.
The following Thursday?
2 days later.
Oh, that Thursday?
That Thursday.
Just a couple of days later?
A couple of days later. I had visitors coming up the walk to my house, and she chose to scream and yell at them that she was not going to move those. And I didn't think it was appropriate for her to start screaming at my visitors about these leaves.
Okay. Did you scream at somebody?
I never saw anybody come up any walk that entire week except for Vernon, who chose to park in front of my house and scream at me.
So you had an altercation with him after he started to park in front of your house?
Correct.
Is that right?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
He kept telling me, nope, I don't want you to go. I'm sorry, I got drunk. I shouldn't have acted this way. I'm sorry I locked the doors. I promise I won't do it again. Okay,
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Vernon Lawson says his ex-girlfriend's neighbor, Linda Crescent, damaged his car by hitting it with a squeegee.
Now tell me about the squeegee.
I was in front of my house washing and drying my windows, and I had a squeegee in my hand when he came screaming around the corner in his car and parked directly behind the pickup. He got out of the car clearly enraged with his fists clenched and came at me. And I turned to see him coming at me. And he grabbed one of the screens, threw it out in the street, and I went out to retrieve the screen knowing that there might be a car coming.
Why did you put the screens on his truck?
Because it was there. It was convenient. It was sitting right there.
Sounds to me like a lot of people behaving badly. A lot of grown-up people who don't have enough to do. It's what happens when you have too much leisure time. How many hours a week do you work?
30 hours a week.
How many hours a week do you work?
40.
I think you ought to work more. You did the wrong thing, Mr. Lawson. You did the wrong thing, Miss Grice. Now you want to show me a picture. I'm dying
Can I
to
have
see
some
it.
pictures, Your
I'm
Honor?
dying to see it, Mr. Lawson.
Well, this one right here for evidence, Your Honor, shows my truck in respect to the windows where she had to pass the bushes and a tree in her front yard to lean up the screen
Let
again.
me explain something to you. I understand that she did the wrong thing.
Okay.
I
And
said that. Did I agree with you, Mr. Lawson? I'm an ecumenical abuser.
Yes, ma'am. This is the wonderful dents in my car that she did with her squeegee since she couldn't get me.
This is the tree she cut, fence with clippings behind. Okay, so she knows she's not supposed to do that. That's not a neighborly thing to do. She wants to clip it and cut it, clips it and cuts it and put it in her trash. Right?
Correct.
Say sorry.
I'm sorry.
Perfect.
I accept that.
You accept her apology?
Yes.
Great. All right, now all you have to do is get rid of him, and then you're all set.
I'm working on that, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, I'm going to suggest that you get the dents out of your car for $100, sir, because I'm not giving you any more than that. She lost her temper. She shouldn't have done that. You acted badly. You have to pay for that. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $100. Listen, she's going to be your neighbor. He's going to be gone. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Linda gives a new dimension to Love Thy Neighbor.
This man is a very dangerous man.
Well, she acts very inappropriately toward the neighbors?
He had me arrested. He had asked the police to cuff me and take me to jail.
I am a Christian, and the Bible tells me to see that my neighbor lives beside me in peace. The Bible also tells me that it's a fool who despises their neighbor. So, Linda, I love you.
Thank you.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Gifford versus Swisher. Step forward, please.
Plaintiff Donna Gifford is suing her ex-boyfriend, construction worker Fred Swisher, for illegally evicting her from their home. Fred says Donna is vindictive and out of control.
Ms. Gifford, you and the defendant lived together as boyfriend and girlfriend from when to when?
From October of 2003 till June of 2004.
And you moved into his apartment?
His house, yes.
Into his house?
Yes.
Did you pay him any rent?
Yes, I did.
When?
June of 2004.
So from October of 2003 until June of 2004, you paid him no rent?
No.
Now, this lawsuit is about the fact that you claimed that sometime in June of 2004, you gave him a check for $500. And within 2 days of that, he locked you out of the house.
Correct.
So you want not only your $500 back, but you want 10 times those damages because you claim he illegally evicted you
Absolutely.
from the house. Why did you put her out of the house?
This all happened on the 17th, which was Thursday. On the 12th, it was a Saturday. We got into a real bad fight.
Was it a verbal fight or a physical fight?
Verbal fight. But the police were called later that day.
Okay. That was on the 12th?
Yes.
What happened after the 12th?
Well, Sunday we got back together, made an amends. Monday she wrote me a check for $500. $400 of it was supposed to be to help pay the bills. $100 of it was supposed to be to pay for my phone that she threw in the canal on Saturday.
Did you throw his phone in the canal on Saturday?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
What happened to his phone?
I don't know.
Don't smile. What happened to his phone? You don't make up a story like that.
I don't know what happened to his phone. It was in the canal. It fell off his boat.
It went into the canal. How did it get there?
We were on the boat that day.
And?
And I don't know how it got in the canal. It was in the canal.
How did it get into the canal?
I never had possession of my phone that day. She had picked it up and stuck it in a baggie when we got on the boat, because that's what we usually do so they don't get wet. And then the next day, we couldn't find my phone, and I took off. Later, she had called me and said, I seen it in the water by your dock, and she fished it out.
Okay, so she didn't throw it into the canal. You didn't have a fight on the boat, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you did have a fight on the boat.
That's where it all started.
Well, it seems to me, Miss Gifford, that it was a good idea for you to not live anymore as a couple. Wouldn't you say that?
Well, yes, in a sense.
What do you mean
I
in a
could say
sense?
that. Well,
yeah, but listen to me. If you're fighting with somebody, to the extent that the police are called, it's a good idea that one of you leave.
Correct.
Well, you didn't expect that to be Mr. Swisher. It's his house.
Correct.
So it had to be you.
Correct.
So why didn't you leave after this altercation on the 12th?
Because he kept telling me, nope, I don't want you to go. I'm sorry, I got drunk. I shouldn't have acted this way. I'm sorry I locked the doors. I promise I won't do it again. Okay, fine. I'd stay or I'd move back in. I mean, this was a constant thing.
You should have been smart enough to say, listen, I'm not going to be a yo-yo. I'm going to find my own place to live, or I'm going to pay rent, or I'm going to pay for my own expenses.
Right.
I don't need you. Do you work?
I was working at the time. I got fired because of this.
So, let's talk about the $500. On the 15th of June, she gave you a check for $500.
Yes.
And then 2 days later, you changed the locks.
No, I didn't change the locks. She agreed to move out, and I moved her out for her.
Fine. Terrific. So you have to give her back her $500.
Even for the cell phone?
Yeah, because I don't think that there's proof that she vindictively threw the cell phone overboard. You said you handed her the cell phone, you put it in a baggie, as you usually did, and she asked her where it was, and she said she saw it in the canal. Mr. Swisher, she gave you $500. You put her out. You lived together for 11 months. She wasn't paying rent, according to you, until the very last moment. So you took her money, and then you said goodbye. And you moved her out, which was a good thing. But you have to give it back at $500. Don't be a baby. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. Good?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good. Thank you.
All right, Judge Judy, you may step out. That's case number 499 on the calendar, the matter of Todoran versus Bracken. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Todoran, who was your witness?
My old roommate, Julie Perry.
Do you have information with regard to this case?
We lived together when Chad and I first started dating and when I moved out to New York with him.
That doesn't answer my question. Does she have evidence with regard to this case, or is she just here for moral support?
She's
is not an answer. Come on. You're going to law school?
Yes.
All right. That's what I gather from your complaint. If you're going to law school, you give me an answer. Does she have evidence? Does she have testimony to offer? Or is she here as just for good company?
She just has testimony.
Just has testimony. What year of law school are you in?
First.
Okay. And he?
I'm learning.
It's Ryan Barr. That's one of my best friends from New York. He'll offer testimony. He helped move the furniture.
Okay, good. You two people used to be in love with each other. You lived together for a little while. You don't anymore. And you claim he owes you some money for a loan, and he's got some property that belonged to you, a sofa or something that he agreed to pay for, and he didn't when you broke up. Mr. Bracken says that you were involved in a give-and-take relationship. That's what people do when they live together. Sometimes you paid, sometimes he paid. He owes you nothing.
Correct.
When did you move in together and where?
We first moved into an apartment. It was in June of 2003.
Listen to me. Is that the apartment we're talking about in this case?
There are two apartments. We moved into one.
I'm not interested in the first apartment in 2003.
They're both 2003.
Get to the one where you were living in, where you say you had to advance money for the security and first, last, and security. When was that?
That was July 2003.
How much was the rent on the apartment?
$1,700 a month.
What were you doing at the time?
I got a job as a freelance designer.
And he?
He's a production assistant.
And you agreed to split the rent?
Yes.
Is that right, sir?
Yes.
Good. Did you give her money for rent?
Yes, I did.
How much?
Half the rent. And what would happen a lot of times is...
I'm talking about when you first moved in.
Sorry.
When you first moved in, you have to give first, last, security. It's a whole big chunk of money.
Right.
Did you have that money to give her?
It did not happen in July the way you're stating it.
That's all I wanted to know.
Okay.
So you did not give her that money. How much did you give the landlord in July?
$5,000.
You have proof of that?
I have a receipt for my deposit and for $1,700, and I have the receipt for the broker's fee that I paid of $1,700.
Well, let me see what you have the receipt from. You should have the receipt from everything. You should have your check, cancel checks.
Your Honor, I didn't keep a lot of the documentation because he was my boyfriend and I trusted him and I loved him and I did not think that I would ever need these kind of things. We had an oral agreement.
Listen to me, my dear.
I trusted him. I know it was stupid.
Listen to me, my dear. You're going to law school. When two people love each other and are committed to each other, they get married. Then we have courts for them. What happened with you is you decide to come into court and to sue him and say, listen, I didn't keep my receipts. I don't have proof, but we had an agreement. And our agreement when we moved in together was we were going to split the bills down in half, right? And we didn't. I paid more. And he says, well, there came a time when you moved into this apartment that you lost your job.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked up the slack.
No, he didn't.
Well, that's what he's saying.
He's lying.
Just a second. How am I supposed to figure that out?
I moved out in December and I paid rent through the end of January to give him time to find a new place because actually we were getting evicted.
Show me.
I can't. I called the landlord and they refused to send me receipts since I was involved in a lawsuit. I'm telling the truth. I'm under oath. I would not make this up.
Did you break the lease?
We did. They just let us out. They just let us out of it.
What happened in 2004?
He made payments to me all year.
How much?
He paid me payments of $62, $100, $60, $50, $150. The last payment was this past December, 2004. I have the cashier's check right here for $150.
How much did he pay you in total?
$422.
What did you give her $422 for?
I felt that I owed her after, because every time I would try to negotiate with Miss Todaran and say, because she always stuck with that number. And
What number?
$5,800. And I said, there's a lot of things that we need to talk about, why certain expenses shouldn't be considered in that debt and other things like that. Now, so what I came to determine was $1,400. And so I was acting in good faith by paying towards that.
Okay, so let us say that after 2.5 years, you decided that $1,400 was your fair share.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you paid for some things, she paid for some things. Neither of you have records.
I have records. I can show
So
everything.
why didn't you finish paying the $1,400?
No, I did. That's
She
what
says
the
she
payment...
got $400 from you, $422.
Okay, I can show...
Show me cancel checks for more.
Certainly.
And then we're out of here.
Well, I can only show you $300 in addition to what she is saying.
Show me.
There's that, as well as I have copies of the... I would write bills down that I owed on legal
Just a second.
pads.
I see one thing for... What?
It's very hard to tell this
I see
stuff.
one thing for $150.
And the other thing does say 150. It's hard to tell.
Well,
know
I
it's
can't read it.
undernumbered.
If I can't read it, my dear, then it doesn't exist.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She said she would stay until February. In actuality, 3 days later, she was packing when I got back from work.
It must have been your personality.
And later today,
I want him to leave me alone because I have a restraining order against him.
Your son has to get over the fact that she doesn't want to have anything to do with him anymore.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Emily Todaran says ex-boyfriend Chad Bracken owes for loans and a couch. Emily says moving to New York with Chad was a big mistake.
She has 422. Does that include a check on November 29th, 2004 for 150?
I have a copy of that right here.
Okay. You got credit for it.
Okay.
422. So what happened to the rest?
All
What happened to the other $1,000, Mr. Bracken?
Okay. Now the rest, well, there are payments. As Ms. Todoran said, we didn't keep a lot of these things, so I've shown you everything that I do have.
All right, so let's
But
start
I
from
do
the...
have, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I do have all the expenses from moving her furniture, which was 6 months after she left, actually almost 7 months after she left, that I kept with me. I moved twice. Mr. Barr helped me move these things into Brooklyn. Now, when we moved from New York, I moved everything and paid all the expenses to return her furniture to her.
How much was that?
$1,227.
Did you receive furniture from him?
No, I did not.
Just what did you return to her, sir?
I returned all her stereo equipment, a television.
Nope.
Show me the address where you sent it.
I didn't send it. She came and picked it up from my house when I got back to Indianapolis.
Lies.
You said expenses to send it back to her.
No, to move it back.
Give it back to him. You're over $1,000. That's based on your statement, sir, because I'm not going through your bills from 2.5 years ago. $50 here and $12 there. Let's take what you have.
Okay.
The debt that you acknowledge was $1,400 and you paid her $422. That leaves about $1,000. Now, what about this couch that she says that she sold to you and you never paid her for?
Okay, can I just back up 1 second?
Yeah.
So the moving expenses.
I'm getting so bored with this.
All right. All right,
Why is
the
it boring?
furniture. Basically, the furniture. When she decided to move, she said she would stay until February. In actuality, 3 days later, she was packing when I got back from work in a minivan. Now,
it must have been your personality.
I can't speak to what was in her head.
Whatever.
I
The
can't
couch,
speak to what her.
the couch.
Okay, so she left 3 days later in a minivan. She said, "I can't, move this furniture." I said, "Well, if you're going to charge me half of it, take the furniture with you." She said, "No, I can't move it. You keep it."
Okay, and your version of the couch?
My version of the couch is we went to the store together with the intention of purchasing a couch and paying for half of it, which I've received
So
for
you
right
weren't
here.
intending to purchase a couch for half. You were intending to purchase a couch for full price.
Yes, so I
And you were
purchased.
each going to pay half.
I purchased the couch for full price, and before I purchased it, I said, "You're going to pay me back for half of this, correct?"
Just don't look at it. Don't look at it.
Okay, and he said yes. So then when I was moving, he was going to stay in New York for an indefinite period of time. So I said, "You know what? You keep the couch. You still owe me half for it, but you just go ahead and keep it."
Listen, when two young people want to play house, they shouldn't irritate me. You have the couch?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you return her stereo equipment?
Absolutely.
No.
Did you return her television set?
I returned everything.
Go ahead.
Sometime in April or something, the new apartment he lived in New York burnt down.
Did he return any property to you?
He returned my TV, but my stereo apparently was damaged in the fire.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,000. That's all. Step out. Don't play house anymore.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The defendant is probably the biggest liar I've ever met in my entire life.
When we got to the end of the relationship and she hadn't been employed for 2 months, she realized she'd be safer back at home. I think she left.
I thought Chad was sketchy all along, so I was actually warning her at the time when she wanted to move to New York with him to not do
She
it.
made a bad decision being in New York, and she paid for it, and she wanted me to be the easy target.
I just don't understand how a person like that can live their life and get out of bed and think they're a good person every day, and his hair is kind of disturbing too.
I hope this ends it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Webb versus Batum, step forward.
21-year-old Philip Webb is suing his ex-fiancée, 19-year-old cashier Crystal Batum, for rent and the return of a wedding ring set. Crystal says Philip is stalking her.
Are you scared to death or just unhappy?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Cheer up. It's only money. Mr. Webb, Miss Batum used to be your girlfriend. You lived together for a period of time at some point in your mother's house. Is your mother?
Yes.
You broke up and you claimed that Miss Batum came to the house and she took a ring set that you purchased.
Yes.
You want the ring set back. And in addition, you say that Miss Batum also owes you for a month's rent.
Yeah, for her half of the rent.
Her half of the rent when you were living at your mother's house.
Yes.
Miss Batum says she paid for the ring set and that there was never any arrangement to pay rent to your mother. Neither of you ever paid rent to your mother. Is that right?
Yeah.
When did you start to live with Miss Batum in your mother's house?
In August, my mother...
August of what year?
2004. My mother had spoke with us in August and told us, now that, both of us are working with a steady income, she wanted us to pay $300 a month rent.
Mm-hmm.
And then September 23rd is when she left. And I
Oh,
had,
did she agree to pay your mother $300 a month rent?
yes, we both did.
When in August did your mother have this conversation with you?
Around the middle of the month.
And when did she expect you to start to pay rent?
She expected us to start to pay rent the following month.
In September?
Yes.
And she moved out in September?
She moved out in the end of September.
Mr. Webb, you got to get over this.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Philip Webb says ex-fiancee Crystal Batum owes for rent and the return of a wedding ring set. Crystal says Philip is still in love with her.
So did you pay your mother $300 on September 1st? You have a check for that, I assume.
No, I paid her cash. I paid her around the middle of the month when I had gotten my paycheck.
And what about in October? Did you pay her in October?
No, I had moved out.
When in October?
I moved out around the 5th, 6th of October.
And you mean you didn't pay her for October? For the first 6 days in October? You understand what I'm saying to you,
Yeah,
Mr.
I
Webb? Well, you're
understand.
getting my gist. Stop being petty. Now let's forget about the rent. And let's go to the ring set.
The ring set, I have the receipt where I purchased it.
Good. Do you have the proof that you paid for it?
I paid in cash. So.
Really? Let me see.
And
Let me see.
the lady's business card that sold it to me.
I want to
I have
see what
that
you
also.
have. And then Miss Batum says that she paid for the ring set. So we're going to see. Paid for the ring set. This says paid $500, tax included. Now, Miss Batum, you left sometime in September.
Yeah.
You had an argument, or you just decided things
No,
weren't
I got tired of everything and I just up and left.
Tell me why you took the ring set.
Well, because we both went in halves on it. We went to the bank, we pulled out some of the money, and then he went back and gave them the rest. And it wasn't $500, it was $300.
Well, he has a receipt that he paid for this.
Well, I
and-
have the rings, so.
We have them. Do you have any proof whatsoever, Miss Batum, that you paid for these rings?
No, because it came out of the ATM.
Okay. Good. Very nice. He gets them back. Perfect. Anything else?
No, that's it.
I want him to leave me alone, too, because I have a restraining order against him. And on February 12th, he mailed me a letter.
Can I see the letter? Can I see a copy of a restraining order? You attended a hearing, Mr. Webb, with regard to this restraining order?
Yes.
Did you consent to the restraining order?
I consented, but I didn't agree with it because
I don't care
a
whether
lot
you
of
agreed
it
with
was,
it or not. You consented to it.
Yes,
You
I
were to
did.
stay away within 100 yards from her,
and I have
from her
done so.
home, and from her job, right?
Yes.
It was her birthday?
Yes.
That's why you sent these?
Yes.
You're not allowed to send them.
I didn't know that. I just was told I had to stay away from her work and stay away from her.
Listen to me, Mr. Webb. You were served with a copy of this protective order.
Yes.
In this protective order, it not only says that you have to stay 100 yards away from her, it reads, and I'm going to read it to you very carefully. You may not do the following. You may not contact her directly or indirectly, or telephone, send messages, or mail or email. Now, while this is not threatening,
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's a love letter. You're not understanding that it's over and that she doesn't want you to have any contact with her. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
You don't want to get into any further difficulty. Is there any other thing that I have to resolve with regard to property or anything else?
Yeah, I have one more thing. I left my birth certificate there. I need my birth certificate back.
Okay. Now you can stand up. Your last name is Webb?
Correct.
You have her birth certificate?
I do.
Okay. I want you to give her birth certificate to your mother. Your mother is going to mail it to this court. This court will see to it that you get it.
Okay. May I say something, please?
Yes.
I know you already went over the rent issue, but I have to bring it up again. It was August 2003. She was the only one with a job at that point.
I'm telling you, you spoke to her in the middle of August. She moved out in September. We're talking about petty stuff, Miss Webb.
I
Petty.
understand that, but
I'm telling you that you're talking about petty stuff. Your son moved out into the month of October. Did you sue him for the rent?
No, because he did
Just a
give me
second.
a full...
Just a second. Did you sue him for the rent?
No, I did not,
Of
Mary.
course not, because you're not petty. Right? Your son has to get over the fact that she doesn't want to have anything to do with him anymore. And you should, as his mother, not exacerbate it. You should say, listen.
No, I just want what's going, and she owes the rent.
Well, I think that you should speak to your son about it.
He already paid her half.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Okay, good. You have a check?
No.
You have
No,
a check?
he paid me in cash
You have a
for
check?
$300.
Good. I don't believe you. Sit down. There is no need for you to contact her anymore. Put a period. You have the rings. You're not to email her, mail her, phone her, follow her, be within 100 yards of her. Got it?
Yes.
Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. The fact that I've told this to you doesn't prevent her from going back to court and saying you violated the order. She can still do that. I don't know whether she wants to do that, but what she wants is she wants you to know unequivocally that you're not to have any contact with her. Clear?
Yes, I'm
Good.
perfectly
That's
clear.
all.
Right, Judge Hughes, you may step out.
Pope versus Page. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Ms. Pope, the defendant was a former boyfriend of yours. You lived together for a period of time.
Yes.
You no longer are together.
Correct.
According to your complaint, Mr. Page owes you for a variety of things.
Correct.
And in addition to these loans that you claim, say that he has some property that belongs to you that he took from storage.
Yes.
Mr. Page says he owes you nothing. There was never an agreement to pay rent. The car that you bought him was an old piece of junk, and he returned it to you anyway, and that was a gift. And that the one thing he took from storage with his current girlfriend, who I assume you brought to court?
Yes.
Right? For any particular reason?
Yes.
Or just to be irritating?
No.
He returned to you, which was a sewing machine that he took from storage, and he gave it back. So, during what period of time did you and Mr. Page live together?
From January of 2002 to March of 2004.
And was this in an apartment that you had leased?
We first lived in a house that I owned, and then I sold the house, and we moved into a house that was rented until we broke up.
And who was on the lease in the rented house?
We both were.
Is that right, sir?
Yes.
Who moved out first?
Me.
Any particular reason?
He wasn't helping pay the bills. I figured I had to go somewhere cheaper I could afford.
Where were you working, Mr. Page?
At Rayco, the place I currently work at.
Rayco?
Yes.
What is that?
It is an electrical supply company.
How long have you been working there?
It'll be 2 years in September, so about a year and a half.
And what kind of money do you earn there?
45 a year.
It's a decent salary. So you were helping to pay the bills?
Yes, I was.
No, he wasn't.
Ah.
He didn't have the job until close to the end of the relationship.
Tell me about the rent arrangement that you claim.
When he moved in with me in January, we both agreed
January of what year?
2002. We agreed that we would split the house payment in half and the utilities in half. Everything would be 50-50.
You're not claiming anything from 2002, 2003, are you?
Yeah, I paid all the house payments.
I'm not interested in that, madam.
Okay.
If he didn't pay the bills in January of 2002, February of 2002, March of 2002...
He did pay some. He gave me $4,000.
March of 2002, June of 2002, you pack a suitcase and you put him out.
He did pay some.
I'm not going to 2002, 2003, 2003 until 2004. You know, if you're sleeping with somebody and living with them as a family and everything is going along smoothly and you let him slide with regard to the rent because he, according to you, wasn't working and didn't get a job until, according to you, the end of the relationship is over now. Don't bother courts.
Okay.
You got it? Mm-hmm. Good. So he moved out in March of 2004?
Correct.
And you got the job, listen to me, sir, you got the job in September of 2003, according to you.
Correct.
Did you contribute to household expenses from March of 2004 until September of 2003?
Yes, I did.
You have receipts for money that you gave her?
No, I did not.
Well, how much money did you give her?
She was like the financial allocator in the relationship, so she would ask me, you know, I need this much this week, so I would just give it to her. I trusted her.
You have to be more specific to me, sir. After you got your job in March of 2004, did you or did you not contribute to half of the household expenses?
Yes, ma'am.
How?
Through money that I earned at my job.
Tell me physically how you did that. Did you deposit your check in
No, I gave the
bank?
money directly to her, yes.
So, no, well, your employer did not give you $45,000 a year in cash. You got your check and you put it in a...
Savings account.
And then you took out from the savings account, interesting, from the savings account you took out a certain amount of...
Money.
Cash.
Yes.
And with that cash, you gave her money, according to you, every week.
Every week.
Show me.
I have no documentation of it.
Well, where did you think you were coming today, Mr. Page? I mean, did you think you were coming to the opening of an opera?
No, I did not.
You were coming to a court. And if your defense to this action is that I did pay household expenses, you would bring something that would show me deposits every week or every 2 weeks from your check, and then a certain amount that you took out for yourself. Right?
Right.
So you don't have that.
No, I do not.
So I'm going to start in October of 2003, because he just started working, according to him, in September of 2003. Starts to put some money away. Let's deal. October, November, December, January, February. When in March did he move out?
On the 4th of March.
5 months then. What was the rent on the house he was living in?
$700 a month.
And prior to that, Mr. Page, you were not working, so you were contributing nothing.
That's not true. I was working at Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut?
Yes, at that time.
Pizza Hut.
Before that.
No, you weren't amassing a fortune working at Pizza Hut.
No, I was not.
Who are you?
I'm Laura Pope's witness.
Just a
By
second.
night.
I just asked you who you were.
I'm Cynthia Radamilli.
Are you related to her in any way?
No, we're just friends.
Good. When I need you, I'll call you.
Okay.
We have $350 a month, which is half the rent, times 5, which equals $1,750. That's what you should have paid, minimally, when you started to work at your $45,000 a year job. Now, let's talk about the car.
Okay.
When did you purchase this car for him?
January of '04.
Tell me the circumstances, according to you, Ms. Pope, of how the car was purchased.
He needed a car to go to and from work, and he agreed if I helped him get a car, that he would make payments on the car till it was paid off, and that's how he was going to be able to pay me for the money he owed me getting a job.
So did the two of you go to look for a car?
No, I went and got the car for him. He didn't want to go.
Just a second. On what day of the week did you do that?
I don't know. I have the paperwork.
Paperwork you may have, madam. My question is, how old are you?
21.
A 21-year-old guy doesn't say to somebody who he's living with, listen, I want to buy a car, I need a car to go to work. If you go pick it out for me, I'll pay you for it.
Right. And she went there with her ex-boyfriend, Your Honor.
Just a second. Does it sound as if you're losing this debate so far? Except the rent part.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So you married after you separated from him?
Yes.
When did you get married?
June.
Somebody a little more age appropriate?
Yes.
Play around with a baby, you get actions like a baby.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Laura Pope says her former live-in boyfriend, Jonathan Page, owes for rent, the balance on a car, and for the return of stolen property.
Go ahead.
We weren't going to get a fancy car, just something that would get him to and from work. That's what we agreed on, and that's what I got. When I took the car back, he said it's fine. I could have took the car back. I had 5 days to take the car back. He agreed it was fine. And we also agreed he would only pay half of the car. I was helping him out.
You mean they let you take the car off the lot without paying for it?
No, I put a deposit down to take the car off the lot. $300 I put down to take the car.
How much was the car?
$1,183.
Did you pay any money towards the car, Mr. Page?
Yes, I did.
You did?
As far as repairs and
no.
go. No, I
My
didn't.
question to you, Mr. Page, is a simple one.
the
I
purchase of
speak
the car.
English. Did you pay any money towards the car?
No, it was a gift.
Who paid for the insurance?
I did.
Actually, that's not true. Both of us did. We both paid on it.
How
I
did
have
you
the
both
receipt
pay
for
for
it.
insurance?
Well, I would give her the money for it some months when she didn't have it, so.
The insurance was in his name only. I paid it. I got the insurance.
Where's the car now?
It's at the police towing because he had it towed to my house in December of '04 because it didn't work anymore. And I asked him, he took the plates off the car. And I said, Jonathan, I need the plates for the car. Oh, I'll give them to you. I'll give them to you. Come get them. Came, he never showed up, never got the plates. The plates are still good until May of this year.
What'd you do that for?
They came with the plates. I sent them over there with the plates. They were already expired.
I have the
So-
registration to show there. That's different.
Why did you bring the car back to her house?
Because she wouldn't give me the title to it. So it was really her car still.
Whose name was on the title?
Hers.
Mine.
Oh, goodbye. You had the car. You should have taken better care of it. All right, let's not deal with the car anymore. What else do you claim he owes you?
He owes me for property he stole out of my storage
Now,
bin.
why did you go to her storage unit? That's the question that I have.
That was our storage bin. You know, she had gave me one key to it. We both had both of our stuff in it.
What did you have in there?
I had all of my office equipment in there.
Why did you take her sewing machine?
She had boxed all the stuff up when she had initially put it in there, so all of our stuff was mixed up. When I took it to my parents' house, I unpacked it. I noticed like some of her items are in there. Those got returned.
Well, when did you, let's start, Mr. Page. When did you go to the storage unit? What date?
I would say about May.
I need a date. Around May is not a date.
May 16th, a couple days before my birthday, I know that. So my birthday.
See how we're getting closer? A couple of days before your birthday, around May 16th. And who did you go there with?
I went there alone.
Did you tell her you were going?
No.
Why not?
Because I was assuming that she would not allow me to get my stuff because she was being a little vindictive about getting my stuff in the first place.
When did you call her and say that I, by mistake, got some of your stuff?
Well, she was calling me all the time.
That's not my question.
When
did you call her and say to her, I mistakenly took some of your stuff?
I never did.
Why not?
Because she was always coming to my house and she got it anyway, so.
I want you to understand something, Mr. Page. My reactions to you have nothing to do with whether I like you or don't like you, because I don't know you well enough to either like you or dislike you. My reactions to you are the reactions of somebody who's listening to facts that don't make sense for somebody who's trying to do the right thing. Do you understand me?
Yes, I do.
If you're in a relationship with somebody and lived with them for a substantial period of time, and for most of that time they were supporting you, which she was, and you had some things that were in a mutual storage facility, I can understand, as a matter of fact, why you would want to go there by yourself and not confront her if you separated in something less than an amicable situation. But once having gotten the stuff home, if you didn't open boxes there, and realizing that you've got some stuff, I would either email her or pick up a phone and call, or write a letter and say, I'm sorry, I have the following stuff. Or even better, taking the same key with which you got into the storage and taking the stuff back. We understand each other.
Yes, I do.
You did none of those things. You waited for her to have to come over with the police to get her things.
No, she didn't come with the police.
Who did you come with?
I came by myself, and then my husband came.
Is this your husband or your ex-husband?
My husband, current husband.
Current husband. So you married after you separated from him?
Yes.
When did you get married?
June.
June. You have a nice husband now?
I do.
Very good. Glad to hear it.
Thank you.
Somebody a little more age appropriate?
Yes.
Perfect. Play around with a baby, you get actions like a baby. You understand?
Yes.
You got your sewing machine back. What else did he give you?
I do not have my sewing machine
You
back.
don't have it back?
No, we went Friday the 18th, February 18th. He agreed to meet me.
February 18th of 2005?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
He agreed to meet me at his mother's house at 1 o'clock, which is where he claimed my stuff was. I was there, he wasn't. I ended up getting his phone number through information. He was still in bed. He ended up over there like 1:45. He came out with a serger machine, put it in the car. I said, because he agreed to pay for the towing fees on the car, because I had to get it towed, the police towed it. Anyway, he said, well, I don't think I owe you the money, fine, whatever. He brought the one machine out, put it in my car, got mad, took it back out of my car. And I said, I'm not going to play the games, we'll just go to court. And I left.
That's not true. I
That
gave her
is
her
true.
surgery machine. She still has it.
He didn't. He took it out of my car.
And that was the only belonging of hers that I had. I gave it to her.
You told me that you took several items of hers out of storage, sir. Not more than 5 minutes ago, you said several of her things got mixed up with your stuff.
Well, that's
You just told me that.
Right, those little knick-knack things that were given back to her
When?
on that day. Along with her little surgery machine, her husband took them with her, so he should have told her that.
May I please see the list of things that you say he has from storage?
Yeah, well, it's on the statement also. I have a letter I sent him. Oh, he has a letter?
Yeah.
That's the same letter I have.
So, and at the bottom, my social security number's on there, and she said she put it on there so I couldn't hide for whatever.
What? I don't understand. I don't understand. You have to speak up. Speak clearly.
My social security number's on the bottom of there, and she said she put it on there so I couldn't hide from her. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, whatever threat that means. And on there is
You have a serger machine and a sewing machine. What's a serger?
It's
That's what I gave back
the
to her.
piece on that, like that makes the hems on your pants. Those little fancy.
Do you have the receipts for these things, madam?
No, I do not.
Anything else you want to tell me?
Yes, on that letter it said all my belongings have been returned to me. Actually, they have not, including a 19-inch Sylvania TV that she has on mine and $748 she owes me.
Probably should have filed a counterclaim, sir.
I know, I should have.
Well, you didn't. And when you file the counterclaim, sir, I suggest you get all your bank records so that you can also, have something other than, you need to smile when you come to court. What else?
Actually, all her claims are null and void due to this agreement that we signed.
I like to say something about that agreement.
We both signed that agreement on that date, and we agreed that there would be no further action.
Don't lie.
Ms. Pope, I have a letter.
Yes.
An agreement.
Yes.
That is signed.
Yes.
Your signature. Dated the 18th of February. Date that I think that you discussed that.
We had went over there.
She came over to the house to get your property.
Correct.
And I'm going to read it to you. It says final settlement. Who typed this up?
I typed it up.
Final settlement on this date, February 18th. You both agreed that neither party owes the other any monies or property from this day forward. This settlement agreement includes and is limited to all dates and times prior to February 19th, 2005. Final settlement is legal and both parties have agreed fully to its content, and final settlement can be used in a court if ever contested by either party. When did you prepare this?
Prepared that the day we agreed to meet, the day he said he was going to make the payments and return my property. I showed him that paper. I said, this is what we'll sign. I had already signed it because I believed he was going to do what he said. He took that paper and would not give it back, and I told him, I said, because there was two copies, my copy and his copy. I said, we both have to sign this for it to be in agreement.
Where's your copy?
He never signed it, so I didn't bring it.
Well, wouldn't that be some evidence, madam, that it was not fully executed, that each of you didn't have a fully executed copy?
He knows he didn't sign it there. He knows this.
Yes, I did. There is no other copy.
Listen to me very carefully. There is something called the parole evidence rule in contracts. Parole evidence rule says that you cannot go outside of the four corners of a document in order to explain away a document that is valid and clear on its face. Do you understand?
I understand that.
Now, you are older than he is. He's a baby. You're, according to him, 13 years older than he is. You've been in business, you work, you support yourself, you know, you take care of yourself. I think that you're smart enough not to sign something until you get what you're supposed to get. You had not gotten the rent money, because this doesn't say, you know, upon condition that he pays the rent, then we've settled. Upon condition that he paid for the car, $600, we've settled. Upon condition that he returns the sewing machine, we've settled. This says that on this date, you've settled everything. The only way you can explain it away is by saying, listen, he forced me to sign it. I was under duress. I was in the trunk of his car, and he said he was going to close the trunk of the car without air holes. So I signed it. You didn't say that, did you?
No, I did not.
Unfortunately, Miss Pope, you have a nice husband now. We're not talking about a lot of money here. We're talking about money that probably some of which was a gift to him, some of which you never expected to be returned to you if the relationship lasted. So you got away cheap. You have a happy life, enjoy it. That's all.
Wolfgang versus Haganase. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. Wolfgang, you own a dog.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of a dog do you have?
It's a German Shepherd.
Do you have a picture?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see it?
Certainly.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Rather unique.
He is indeed.
You are suing the defendant because you claim that her son, I assume this little boy, falsely accused your dog of biting him.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
As a result of that, your dog was quarantined.
For 10 days.
You have some vet bills for the quarantine, and you had some attorney's fees.
That's correct.
And you want his mother to compensate you for
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
Now, I gather on the day of this incident, you were not at home.
No, ma'am, was not.
On what day was this incident?
It was in April. I don't know the exact date.
Do you?
The 15th.
And do you live alone, sir?
No, ma'am.
Who do you live with?
My wife.
Does she work?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were both gone during the day?
My wife was out of town. She wasn't even in the state of Georgia.
Okay. And what's this dog's name?
Rocket.
Where is Rocket?
We have a big two-car garage. He has a big, large kennel, constant feeder, and one of those constant water 5-gallon jugs, and he's got life pretty good in there.
So when you leave in the morning, you put him out into the garage so that he can't
Take
get
him
into
out, and then leave him in the garage.
And when you get home from work, does he come into the house? Is he a house dog?
Yes, ma'am.
But you don't leave him in the house. Why?
Why?
Yeah.
We're afraid of what might happen. I mean, he's a 110-pound full-grown German Shepherd. I wouldn't want him to have full run of the house while nobody's at home.
How old is he?
He is 5 years old.
You don't live close by to the plaintiff. You were visiting someone?
Yes, my boyfriend.
And how far away does your boyfriend live from Mr. Wolfgang?
It's around the block. He lives in like a cul-de-sac, and then Joey lives in another cul-de-sac, and it's around the block.
And your son was out playing?
Yes.
Was he out playing alone?
He went to a friend's house to see if she could come out and play, and that is Mr. Wolfgang's neighbor. And
so you spend time there?
Yes.
In this neighborhood?
Yes, ma'am.
What's your name?
Joshua.
Joshua, you want to come up here and talk to me for a minute?
Okay.
Right up here.
There you go.
How old are you, Joshua?
7.
You go to school?
Yes.
What grade are you in?
First.
Did you go to kindergarten last year?
Yeah.
Can you read?
A little bit.
Okay, well, that's very good as a starting first grader. Now, Joshua, do you remember last April when something happened with a dog?
Yes.
Tell me where you were.
I was going to my friend's house.
Did you walk there by yourself?
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
When I went to the house and she couldn't play, I went back out and the dog was out of the garage and I was going to take a shortcut and the dog
How are you going to take a shortcut?
through the yard.
Through the yard where the dog lived?
Yes.
That's not the way you got there.
No.
Had you ever taken that shortcut before?
Yes.
And everything was okay when you went through the yard?
Mhm.
Dog didn't bother you?
No.
Had you ever seen the dog before?
Yes.
Is this a picture of the dog?
Yes.
Now, you said the dog was out of the garage. How did you know the dog had been in the garage?
Because the garage was closed and I heard it banging on the door and barking.
And is that when you were knocking at Sammy's door?
Yes.
Now, when you decided to take the shortcut, you say you saw the dog. Where was the dog?
It was near the garage, in the grass right here, close to Sammy's house.
So you were going to go into the yard even though you saw this dog there?
Yes.
You weren't afraid of the dog?
A little bit.
What happened with the dog?
He ran over and bit me.
Where did he bite you?
On my leg.
Did he bite you or just jump on you?
He jumped on the grass and then bit me.
Did he cut your skin?
A little bit.
Was it bleeding?
Not that much.
Or was it bleeding at all? Or were you just frightened?
Kind of both.
Kind of both. Okay, Joshua, go and sit down. When your son found you that day, was his leg bleeding?
A little bit, yes.
Was it from a scratch or a bite? Because if a dog like this bites him, you're not talking about a little dog. You're talking about a dog that if he bit him,
Right.
it could have caused some serious damage.
Right.
So was it a scratch?
He had like maybe 3 or 4 scratches and then kind of a puncture on the leg, and his pants were torn. He had come into the house and was crying, and I looked down and he had wet his pants, and I was like, what's wrong, you know? And of course I'm freaking out because I have no idea what's wrong. And he's like, the big white dog got a hold of me. He said that he just got him on the leg, and I guess it went through his pants and kind of drug him a little bit. And he said someone had come and cracked the door open and called the dog's name, and when the dog looked up, that was Joshua's opportunity to run away, and that's what he told me.
You have any reason to doubt that story today?
No.
So?
There was nobody there that could have possibly have let the dog out in the first place, much less called him in. Have an incident report from Gwinnett County Animal Control.
Can I see it, please?
Sure. And he states exactly that there was nobody there when he got there.
That doesn't mean there was nobody there. That means there was nobody there when he got there. How do you think that happened to his leg?
I have no idea.
According to this report, there were several children in the neighborhood, sir, who said that your garage door was open and that somebody from inside the garage called your dog after the child was bitten.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what it says.
I know that's what it says, but there was nobody there.
Well, that's what you say. I don't know that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
when I told her, Evelyn, I want the truck back, you don't have the money to pay for it, she goes, well, you're not taking this truck. I'll shatter every single window in that truck. And she ran outside and shattered the back window.
Can't do that.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Stephen Wilfong says his dog was wrongly quarantined due to a false report by Mandy Hoganase. Mandy says Stephen's German Shepherd bit her 7-year-old son in the leg.
Now, I can't make a determination, sir, that nobody was home.
I have records showing that my wife was out of state.
Sir, I don't care whether your wife was out of state.
Okay.
Somebody, sir, let the dog out. Maybe it was a neighbor's child. Your garage door is unlocked, so somebody can go and open the garage door from outside.
I know nobody was in my house.
Well, I don't know that,
And
sir.
I
This
know
is a
that
court.
dog
I'm not
didn't get it.
clairvoyant. I'm telling you what the evidence is. The evidence is as follows. I have testimony from this little boy supported by physical evidence, by his mother, and animal control, that he was, in fact, bitten by a dog. Not viciously bitten, not seriously bitten, but bitten by a dog. I have this little boy telling me that it was a large white dog from your house who bit him. I have neighboring children who tell animal control and evidence that you gave me, not she gave me, that it was your dog and someone opened the garage door and brought the dog back inside after the child was attacked. And you expect me to say, well, okay, you say nobody was at home. You weren't home.
Nope.
That's the evidence. I have to make a judgment. I have to make a judgment by a preponderance of the evidence whether or not you can sustain your case. And you cannot, because you have no evidence other than the fact that you were at work and your wife wasn't home.
My
That's
wife was
your-
out of town.
And that's what you tell me.
That's right.
I believe him. And I believe this. So your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Nobody wants to see a small child get bit.
I don't think it was a severe bite.
I felt bad for him, but I seen the little boy that night.
I think he was just really scared.
I don't think it was by my dog.
I mean, it's a big dog. It's very scary.
It didn't look like a dog bite
I just don't want it to happen again.
from no 110-pound dog to me.
And I'm glad everything's okay.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Woodall versus Cruz. Step forward, please.
Truck driver Evelyn Woodall is suing her son, Arnold Cruz, and his wife, Annie Cruz, for the return of money she paid for a truck. The couple is countersuing, for vandalism to the truck in question.
Miss Woodall, is this your son?
Yes.
And his wife?
Yes.
According to your complaint, there came a time when you were living with them.
Yes.
And you needed a new vehicle.
Yes.
And you agreed to purchase a truck of theirs. And the agreement was that you would make $400 a month payments, maintain the insurance, until the truck was paid off.
Correct.
You made payments, according to you, faithfully, with the exception of the last one. That
Correct.
was some sort of a problem. And your daughter-in-law and son repossessed the truck.
Correct.
You want all the money that you put into it.
Correct.
And your son and daughter-in-law say that you missed a payment, that you did not maintain the insurance as you should have, and that you did not keep the truck in good repair, as a result of which they have to have it repainted and refixed, whatever, and they are counterclaiming for that amount. When did you purchase the truck?
February of the 15th of 2004.
And what was the purchase price of the truck?
They sold it to me for $6,500.
What year truck was it?
A 96.
What was the Blue Book value of the truck?
I think it was $3,500 or $4,000.
So why did you agree to pay him $6,500?
Because I didn't have good enough credit to go out and buy my own.
Was the Blue Book value of this truck $3,500?
No, it was not.
What was it?
It was 72 when we pulled it up. 7,200.
Is that in excellent condition?
Excellent condition.
Was the truck in excellent condition?
Yes.
When you say that, you're looking up at the sky when you say yes.
Well, because there was a debt that her son had put into the truck.
So it wasn't in excellent condition?
No.
Well, what was the value of it if it wasn't in excellent condition?
The last time I looked, it was in fair
Well, maybe
condition.
we can find out. Bird, do you want to see if you can get me a Kelly Blue Book on this truck? Sure. A 1996 what?
Chevy S10.
Be right back.
Thank you. Okay. While Bert is doing that, you agreed to pay them $6,500. And how much did you make in payments altogether?
$3,900 with a balance of $2,600.
Okay, $3,900.
Correct.
Is that correct?
$3,100.
You have receipts for $3,900?
It could be.
$3,100?
Yes.
Okay. Your daughter-in-law seems quite sure of herself when she says $3,100.
Yes.
Leaving a balance of $3,400.
That's right.
Look at that. Chevy S10, 1996.
Fair condition,
Mm-hmm.
$900.
$900?
That's what it says.
How about in medium condition?
Good condition is $1,300. Private, you want private party?
Yeah.
Okay. $2,300.
Would you show them, Bert, so that they don't think that you're fooling them?
So no one took a four-cylinder?
Yeah, but extended
Long
cab's
bit?
down here. It has to be
Oh,
extended
you
cab.
didn't tell me it had an extended cab. Come
It's
on,
an
work with
extended
me
cab.
here. All right. Okay, so here's the extended cab down here.
Okay.
All right.
32.
$3,250. Go. $3,250, Judge.
$3,250. So that's the best case scenario for the defendants is $3,250 should have been the sale price.
$3,250.
So they doubled that and sold it to the mother for $6,500.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Evelyn Woodall says her daughter-in-law, Annie Cruz, illegally repossessed her truck. Evelyn says the incident is tearing apart their family.
$3,250 is what the car is worth.
Okay.
If you sold it to your mother-in-law for $6,500, you took her for a ride, and she paid $3,100, which would have been almost the maximum that you could have gotten the car if you sold it to somebody else.
But nowadays, you can't get a car, used or not used, at Blue Book value. It's on the based on the conditions, just like an old car. You get an old car.
Sir, do you speak?
Yes, I do.
Shh. Do you speak?
Yes, I do.
Why did you repossess this car from your mother?
I didn't. My wife did.
Did you give her permission to do it?
It's not my truck.
Whose truck was it?
It's hers.
In whose name was it?
Hers.
Is that right? It was in your wife's name because she purchased it?
Yes.
Before you were married?
No. After we were married.
Then why is it her truck?
Because it was her cash. Her hard-worked money paid for that truck.
Didn't you have a discussion with your wife about going to your mother's and repossessing this truck?
First of all, I told her not to sell it to my mother. I didn't want, you know, how family things are.
Smart. Really smart. You're absolutely right. And she was absolutely wrong in selling the truck to your mother, given the fact that her husband said to her, please don't sell the truck to my mother. I don't want to sell a used car to family. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then, when she said, I'm going to take it back, and your mother had already paid you practically all that it was worth, what did you say to her?
I didn't say anything. I had nothing to say.
Oh, who are you?
I'm the other daughter-in-law. I'm married to the oldest son.
Are you a nicer daughter-in-law?
Yeah.
Your Honor?
What?
She wrote me a letter and sent me a check of $1,000. And my son had got into my mail and took my check as hostage so that I would take my mattress out of the back of the garage. I never got the letter. The police were called in.
I don't need to figure out that your son has a problem. He really should find his manhood. He'd be a lot better off. Where is the truck now?
In my garage.
You're going to fix it up?
Yeah, but when I went to go pick up the truck, when I told her, Evelyn, I want the truck back, you don't have the money to pay for it, she goes, well, you're not taking this truck. I'll shatter every single window in that truck. And she ran outside with the horse hook and shattered the back window.
Can't do that.
No, what it was is she called me up and told me that she called the police and said that she reported the truck stolen.
No, I did not.
And
did you break the window?
Yes, I did.
All right, you can't
to
do
get
that.
my saddle and my equipment
You
out.
can't do that. How many months did you have this car before they took it back?
Well, he drove it from February to, I think it was May when he got his Dodge Hemi.
Is that right?
You know what, I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? You mean you don't know whether you drove the truck from February, March, April, and May?
You did.
Yes.
You don't know whether you drove it?
I think I did. I don't know. I don't recall.
Did you take stupid pills today or what? We're not talking about 5 years ago, sir. We're talking about a few months ago. Did you drive the truck that your mother was paying for 3 months?
Yes.
That's an answer. They repossessed the car because you missed, according to you, one payment.
Yes. There's my receipt.
Right? You had no right to break the back window. How much did it cost to fix it?
$200.
Show me.
Sorry, Your Honor, it was $157.75.
$1,900 minus $157.
Your Honor, the actual paint job that she did to the truck was also in very poor condition.
I don't care.
I have pictures to show.
I don't care.
The damages that she did.
I don't care. As I said to you, you know, if I could say that you were guilty of overreaching and selling your mother-in-law a truck for twice as much as it's worth, I would find that. But she made the deal. She's a grown woman. She paid you $3,100 for the truck. I am attributing to her $200 a month for the 6 months that she actually had the truck, because that's what it would be even if you had a rental, which leaves $1,900. And from that, I'm deducting $157 because you can't go and break the car window just because you were in a snit. That leaves $1,743. That's what you're going to get.
Okay.
You get nothing.
Okay, can
Goodbye.
All right, he's 333 on the calendar. Sorry, 335 on the calendar. The matter of Dotson versus Harrison.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat.
Ms. Dotson, according to the complaint that I've read, the defendant used to be a boyfriend of yours. He is no longer a boyfriend of yours, but you claim that after you had already broken up, he vandalized your car on 2 separate occasions. Mr. Harrison says that he did no such thing. When did you end your relationship with him?
Approximately around July 15th of 2005.
How long had you been together?
Approximately about a year and a half.
Did you ever live together?
Yes, ma'am.
For how long?
Approximately a year.
Did you live in your house or his house?
My home.
Who do you live with?
I live with myself and my children.
How old are your children?
I have a 9-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
When did he move out?
Probably around June of 2005. And
why?
It wasn't working. I had a lot of stuff going on in my life, and I felt like life was taking me in other directions, and I felt like I couldn't do all the things I needed to with him. He was becoming very controlling, very possessive.
Was he working when he moved in with you?
Yes, he was.
Did he remain employed during the year that he lived there?
No.
He did not?
He did not.
When did he lose his job?
Approximately 4 months after we lived together.
Were you working?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a full-time student at IUSB, and I also tutor at Jackson Middle School.
Okay. When was the first incident of your car being vandalized?
September 15th.
Tell me what happened.
That day I actually had surgery at St. Joe Medical Center, and after that my friend Christine, she's right here, her and I and Jesse Harrison, we all went to my friend Heather's house.
How did he get involved with you on that day if you had broken up 2 months before?
I called him from my home and I told him that I was having surgery that day, and he asked me if I wanted him to come to the hospital. And I told him I didn't care, but I really, inside I felt like I needed him for support. He's been my main support person. And then when I was at the hospital and they were taking me to the pre-op, he showed up.
Did he drive you home?
No.
Who took you home?
Christine drove her car, and she drove me and her to Heather's, and he drove my truck. And when I left the hospital, I was upset that he was driving my truck. I did not want him to do that because he has no license. And when we got to Heather's house, we had this argument, and he got mad at me because I didn't want him to drive the truck. And he said, well, I was there for you at the hospital. And I told him, you didn't have to be there for me at the hospital. I had somebody else who could have been.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Shh. Come back to you. Go ahead.
And at that point, he just yelled, and these were his words verbatim. He said, "Who, Petey?" And then he kicked my truck and threw a flower pot at it. And then he ran between two houses, and that's when I saw an officer on a bike, and I stopped him, and he made a police report for me.
Okay. When was the next time that your car was vandalized?
The next accident was on the 16th of September, 2005.
Right.
Again, at that time, I was still under medication for my surgery. My doctor told me that I needed to do bed rest for a week. At that time, I went over to my friend Christine's house. Jesse was there, and...
How did he get there?
He drove me.
So you called him again?
I had to take my
Just a
kids.
second. So after you saw him kick your truck and throw a flower pot at it and report it to the police, you called him again to pick you up?
Your Honor.
Just a second. Is that what you're telling me? Don't give me an excuse. That's a yes.
Yes, ma'am.
When had you called him?
You know, I'm not...
That morning? The evening after? When?
I think it was the next morning.
Where were your children?
My children were at my friend Christine's house. I needed to take them some supplies, and I wasn't allowed to drive.
So you called him and said what?
I asked him if he could take me to take Christine some supplies.
And what did he say?
Yes.
You didn't say to him, I reported you to the police yesterday?
No, he knew. He saw the police. Why he was running.
No, it's not true.
He doesn't know how the police got there, madam. I'm asking you whether you told him that you had called the police the day before.
No, I did not tell him that I called the police the day before.
You just said, do me a favor, pick me up and take me over. How was he supposed to pick you up and take you over to Christine's house?
I asked him to take me in my truck.
You asked him to drive?
Yes.
So it was okay for him to drive without a license when you asked him to, but you were annoyed that he drove without a license the day before?
The day before, I did not feel comfortable being with him.
That's not my question. You told me a moment ago, madam, that the day before you had an argument with him because you didn't want him to drive your car because he didn't have a license. That's what you told me. But the next day, because you needed to use him for something else, you told him to come to your house, pick you up, use your car, and take you to your friend Christine's house.
That is correct. My children needed supplies.
They needed water?
Diapers.
Is she incapable?
She had 5 kids at her house at that time, and she couldn't leave.
License, diapers. License, diapers. You used him. Mr. Harrison, after you went back over there, her car was vandalized again, sir. Were you angry on both of those occasions?
No, I didn't. I wasn't angry. It's just that she was just running her mouth, or she wanted to go in the house, and I didn't want to stay there.
Why don't you work?
I was working for her brother, detailing cars at his car lot, until she came up there starting trouble, and now I just go from car lot time to time and detail cars.
Is that how you support yourself?
That's
Yes,
not
ma'am.
true.
What does he do?
Actually, he was working for my brother, and he got fired from my brother's car lot because he was being obsessive and controlling, and my brother didn't want to be a part of it. At this time, he doesn't go from car lot to car lot detailing.
Yeah.
He does not do that. He
that's
frequently
not true.
sells stereos.
Miss Dotson, although it looks to me as if butter would melt in your mouth and that you're a very intelligent woman, you're also a user. You used him like a rubber band. You say, get out, then come back, come to the hospital, I need your support, don't use my truck. Well, today you can't use my truck, tomorrow you can use my truck because I have to go someplace. And what I'm telling you is you can't toy with somebody's emotions like that. That's unacceptable behavior for an adult.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I need you. Now I'm finished with you. I need you again. Now I'm finished with you. That's cruel.
And later today,
the counselor asked me if I loved her, and I said yes. And did she love me? And she said she didn't know. And I wanted this relationship to last. She was very important to me.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tara Dotson says her ex-boyfriend, Jesse Harrison, owes for kicking her truck. Jesse says Tara got him fired from his job.
Madam, if you needed somebody additionally to give you moral support in the hospital and you had already kicked him out of your house, you don't call him again for the day.
Well, Your Honor, my mom is deceased. My best friend was watching my kids. Who else loves me? I know he does.
Just a second. Well, that's using him. That's exactly what I'm saying to you. That's exactly what I'm saying to you. He loves you, but you don't love him. So if what you're doing is toying with his emotions, because you're saying, I need you.
Your Honor,
Let's just listen. I need you. Now I'm finished with you. I need you again. Now I'm finished with you. That's cruel. And if what you're telling me is he loves you, and you know that, that makes you even the more cruel. You get me? What year is your truck?
My truck is in 1998.
And you have pictures of the damage that he did to your truck?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it, please. And your brother has a body repair shop?
No, actually, my brother has a car lot. He sells
car
used
lot.
cars.
Does he also repair cars?
No.
No. That's too bad. Well, I get some stuff there to detail it a little bit. And you could probably get that dent pulled out by somebody for a couple of $100. Nowhere near $1,700. Miss Dodson, you have to learn to be a nicer person, madam.
I understand, Your Honor.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff. Not for $1,700, for $300. Get your car fixed for that. That's all. Step out.
Please excuse. You may step out.
She kept calling me. I wasn't even with her. She kept calling me, asking me to do stuff for her, and I wasn't with her, you know, maybe because wasn't nobody else paying no attention to her.
There was nobody else who could take me where I needed to go.
And I still loved her, but I guess I got down wrong in the end.
In my mind, it wasn't about using him. It was about needing to get my kids what they needed, and I knew he would help.
Only for our kids, you know.
I'm not going to call him.
Man, she too crazy for me.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Barch versus Jones. Step forward, please.
Robert Burridge is suing his ex-fiancée, Carla Jones, for money loaned and forged checks. Carla is countersuing, claiming Robert made false accusations to her probation officer.
Mr. Barch, Miss Jones used to be your living girlfriend,
She was my fiancée.
and according to your complaint, she owes you some money. First for a loan, for insurance, well over a year ago. And then you claim that at some point she forged some checks,
Yes, ma'am.
and then you claim she's got some of your personal property.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Jones says none of them were loans. She did, in fact, sign your name to checks. You knew about that. You did not report those forged checks, according to you, when you found out about them, but you continued to live together as a couple. But when you broke up, you, according to you, called her parole officer. You're on parole for something?
I'm off now.
And you called her parole officer to report the forged checks. Is that right?
Yes.
Why'd you do that for?
Because she was forging checks while on parole, and
No, look at me, look at me.
it was a violation.
Let's get a timeline.
It's a violation.
Mr. Barsh, listen to me. Don't interrupt me when I'm speaking.
Excuse me.
According to you, it was in October of 2004 that you found out that she had signed your name to some checks.
Yes.
How much in total were the checks that she signed?
$2,900.
And what were they for?
They were made out to her, signed by her, and cashed by her, and deposited to her account.
Okay. Now, when did you find out about these checks? So was that in October?
It was after she moved out in October.
So after you found out about these forged checks, how long did it take you to call her parole officer?
It took me until March of 2005.
Okay. Let's go. Checks, $2,900 worth.
No, nothing was stolen from him. No forged checks. We would pay our bills together. I would tally up how much utilities were or groceries, and I'd say, I need X amount of dollars. And he'd say, okay, go ahead and get a check, write for that, deposit it in there, and pay the bills. And
Deposit it where?
Into my checking account. I'd always call him at work, or he would be home when we did it, and he would say, go put that in your checking account and then pay the bills, because I paid everything online.
What do you want parole for? Anything to do with
I'm
checks?
not on parole. I was on probation.
Probation, anything having to do with checks?
No, it was for a DUI.
Oh. How long were you living together?
About 2.5 years.
Who paid the bills, sir?
The arrangement was that I paid the rent because it was a considerable amount of money, and she picked up the tab for the utilities and the food.
What precipitated your leaving in October of 2004?
Well, the relationship was kind of going sour, and in August of 2004, we had been going to some counseling to see if we could work through some of the issues. And I realized in my heart that it just wasn't going to work out for me, that I wasn't going to be able to go through with the relationship. And of course, he was very upset. And I told him at the end of the lease, which was November 1st of 2004, that I'd be moving out by then and getting my own place.
Robert Burridge says ex-fiancée Carla Jones stole money by forging his checks. Carla is countersuing, claiming Robert made false accusations to her probation officer.
Okay. When for the first time, Miss Jones, did the plaintiff confront you about these checks?
Towards the end of the year after I had moved out. We were still talking to each other, and he would come over sometimes on the weekends, and I just felt really sorry for him.
Just tell me what he said to you about the checks.
He called me on the phone close to Christmas. I said I didn't want to see him anymore. I said I don't want you coming over anymore. I don't want to see you at all. It's done. I don't even want to be friends with you. And that's when he threatened he was going to go to the police station and tell them that I forged these checks while we were together. And I said, you know, that's a lie. How can you go tell a lie like that? And he says, I can say whatever I want. And then in March, I finally just told him, I said, I can't see you anymore. We're kind of seeing each other on and off, on and off. Well, he told me he was going to go to the police and do this. So I guess the next day, which was March 14th.
So the first time he spoke to you about it was in December of 2004.
Threatening to do this.
On what date did you contact her probation officer?
It was the 15th of March.
What happened between December and March, sir?
I was investigating this
You already knew about it, and you confronted her with them, and if you had been concerned that she had forged your name to checks and you felt that it was the right thing to do to notify her probation officer, why didn't you do it in December or January or
Because
February?
I was hesitant. I wanted the relationship to go on. During the counseling sessions, the counselor asked me if I loved her, and I said yes, and the counselor asked her, did she love me? And she said she didn't know, and the counselor said, did you love him when you took that engagement ring? And she said, I don't know. And I wanted this relationship to last. It was very important to me. She was very important to me. And I figured that the less waves, the better the chances of the relationship working.
But it didn't work, sir.
It didn't, no, it didn't work.
It didn't work. And the response to it not working is not to behave in a retaliatory way.
That's right.
The response to it not working is saying, you went to counseling, she didn't deceive you. She said, we'll go to counseling, we'll see if we can get it to work. And she was being honest. She said, I don't know my feelings. She wasn't trying to be hurtful. If she wanted to be hurtful, she wouldn't have gone to counseling with you.
She deceived me when she accepted the engagement ring.
No, you know, you're talking about there's hard evidence and then there's soft evidence. You know, the divorce rate in this country is 52%. Now, all of those people who divorce, when they sit back, you know, a year later, 6 months later, 5 years later, they say, gee, I wonder if I really loved him. I wonder if I really loved her when I walked down the aisle. You know, or was it something else? It was, you got to get married, or, you know, I fell in love with the beautiful face, or I fell in love with the bank account, whatever it was. Was it really him? I'm really not sure. You know, I really don't know in my heart anymore. That's what people say to themselves.
It was the bank account.
Well, it's all a package. You know, she's an attractive lady, right?
Yes, she is.
She's a very attractive lady, well-spoken. Do you think that if she was an unattractive lady and not well-spoken, you would have been attracted to her? No. You may have gotten to know her better and said, gee, she's got a wonderful soul. But what attracted you to her initially was she's a pretty lady, she seems intelligent, and she's well-spoken, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Part of your package is that you had some dough. That's it. You just have to accept that. And you know, I'm not such a genius that I figured this out myself, because Donald Trump's wife was interviewed recently, and they said to her, would you be married to him if he wasn't Donald Trump, if he wasn't a multimillionaire, if he wasn't who he is? And she said, you think he'd be married to me if I didn't look like this? Do yourself a big favor. Put a period. It didn't work out. You both gave it your best shot. You should not have called a probation officer. It was a nasty thing to do. And you should not have waited to see the result of this counseling before you decided that what she did was criminal, because then I find your motives suspect.
The reason we actually separated was in August. I told her that her drinking had become a problem, and if she didn't stop drinking, we were not going to renew the lease and live together.
But even after that, you went to counseling with her, because according to you, you loved her.
I did love her.
What I'm telling you is, it didn't work out. That's very sad. Looks like a nice guy. I hope you find another nice one.
She's engaged to another guy already.
Well, then you should look up and say, thank you, God, I didn't make a mistake. Yeah. Right? Instead of suing her. The case is dismissed, sir.
Found in the matter of McManus versus Leal. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
All right, Mr. McManus, it is your claim that the defendant, Mr. Leal, owes you, really you and your wife, for 2 loans that you made to him during the course of his relationship with your daughter.
Correct.
One was for $1,500 towards the purchase of a car for him.
Yes.
The second was $125 that he needed because he was short of rent, and he called you and asked you for the money. Mr. Leal says that you generously agreed to help him buy this car, and it was a gift. The $1,500 was a gift, and as was the $125 that you gave him towards the rent. Mr. Leal is counterclaiming because he says when he attempted to break off the relationship with your lovely daughter, she threw a hissy fit and broke a whole bunch of his property. Yes. Correct, sir? I'm going to start with you. When were you and Elizabeth dating?
January, I believe.
Of what year?
Was it 2003?
Elizabeth, when?
It was in March of 2003.
March.
And there was a time that you lived together. Would you tell me when that was?
After dating there, we actually both moved to Michigan, where I went to school at, and Mr. McManus wasn't too happy there.
Oh, this is a whole saga here. When did you live together, Mr. Leal?
But I moved down, and that was in January, I believe.
2004?
Yes.
Now, you didn't have a car.
No.
You were sharing a car with Elizabeth?
Yes.
You wanted your own car, and you approached your parents. Mm-hmm. And they agreed to give you how much money?
They gave me about $3,900.
Go ahead.
I found a car that was well, decently priced for $4,900.
You saw a car for $4,900. All you had was $3,900. So what did you do, Gilbert?
I didn't really think twice about it. At the time, I didn't really find anything that was working with $3,900.
Life is very short.
Right.
And I have a lot of work to do.
Right.
So you have $3,900. The car you want is $4,900. What did you do?
Well, we were living together, like you already know. At the time, me and Elizabeth kind of briefly discussed it a little bit, but it still wasn't anything, too serious. So her dad approached me with helping me.
Gilbert, at some point you had to call Mr. McManus and say, I have $3,900. The car I want is $4,900. Can you help me out?
Right.
So, I don't want to put words in your mouth. That's not what I do. How did the McManuses find out that the car you sought exceeded your bank account?
Through Elizabeth.
Did you discuss with your parents the fact that his eyes were bigger than his stomach?
Yes, Your Honor, and there was a...
Just a second.
Okay.
So he told you, and you went to your parents.
Uh-huh. He also spoke to my parents.
Just a second. Who went there first, Elizabeth?
Me. And okay.
And what did you say to mother and or father?
I told them that Gil had backed my car into someone else's car in a Taco Bell parking lot and took off paint that he said he was going to pay for, and that the whole car situation wasn't working out, and he needs a car so he can get to work and I can do my thing. Can you...
That's what you told your parents?
Yes.
Can you what?
Can you help him out by giving him a loan?
Who did you discuss it with, your father or your mother?
My mom.
What did your mother say?
We had offered to loan Gil the money well before he found the car. And then they moved down here, and he found the car, and then Elizabeth called and said, he could really use that help of that loan that you had offered him, because the car that he wants is $5,000, and his parents was able to give him $3,500. And so we gave Gil a loan for $1,500.
That was in February of 2004?
Yes.
Now, when did you break up?
March 14th, 2004.
So, a couple of weeks later, right? But there was a second loan. What was the second loan about?
Well, before they moved down, I had told him that if he needed help making the rent, food, whatever, to cover his share, if he were to advise me if he was in any problem, that I would be willing to help. He called me directly on the phone, said he was short of the rent. I knew that she didn't want to hear about that problem because she was struggling to make up her end
So you
of
gave
it.
him $125?
On the condition he'd pay me back when his first time he got paid, which would have been within 10 days, as I remember it. I've never heard from him since.
Now, a couple of weeks later, you decided you wanted out of this relationship. Tell me why.
We had been arguing pretty much when we moved in. It was just tough on us. I wasn't working full-time, and she then started talking with her ex-boyfriend and different things like that, and disregarded our relationship altogether. I said it wasn't going to work out, so
Now let's
I
get to your
decided to
counterclaim, Gilbert.
Well, counterclaim was that day that I moved out that night. She decided to help me move by breaking my stuff and throwing it at me. On top of that, I had two items that were very close to me and very personal to me that she threw and lost.
Allow me to intervene if I may.
Okay.
If I could be so bold, Judge.
You can't. You have to.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You double lock the door from the inside. Nasty. Take your hands off your hips.
Sorry. Yes, I agree. That was nasty. And he said, I'm leaving. And I snapped.
And later today.
You have a drug problem?
No, ma'am.
So then why weren't you working?
We were working.
Well, two people working, it would seem to me you could have some sort of place for your children.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Elizabeth McManus and her parents, Rich and Manon McManus, claim Elizabeth's ex-boyfriend, Gilbert Layell, owes for a loan to buy a car and unpaid rent.
Go ahead.
We did have a big fight. And what he's referring to is that he left the apartment for 2 hours. Didn't tell me where he was going. Nothing. And I ended up locking the doors on him, and I went to bed. And so whenever he came back, he'd pound on the door, and I wasn't going to let him in because...
I mean, you double lock the door from the inside. Nasty.
I was trying to do that.
Take your hands off your hips.
Sorry. Yes, I agree. That was nasty. I was trying to show him that don't just leave me for hours and don't tell me where you go. So what I'm trying to get at is that he came in the house, and it ended up that he said, I'm sick of this. I'm leaving. And I snapped. Your Honor, I was very upset because we have this agreement to be living together, and he's trying to bail on me.
So I said, I will help you move out. And I took his things, and I went like that. And the rock he was referring to and an angel that were important to him, the last I ever saw those items were on the bed.
What did you break, Elizabeth?
I don't believe I broke anything.
You were throwing his stuff.
I shoved it off the table. I didn't, throw it as like launching it at him.
You didn't pick up my glasses and throw them at me, crush them and throw them at me?
I tossed things across the room.
Elizabeth, now your brother is dying to say something. Was he there that evening?
He was not there that fight.
Mr. McManus, you want to say anything?
Yeah, briefly.
Well, then stand up. Stand up by me, honey.
When Gil was moving out the final time, he was fully packed. And at no point did I witness any destructive act.
Well, your sister already has told me that she threw his stuff around, right? So you're not going to say she didn't,
dispute that.
because you didn't. Good.
But I don't believe that it was a result in any destructiveness, meaning his items at no point, to my observations, were broken as a result of any arguable tantrums.
Good.
May I say something, Your Honor?
Yes.
When Elizabeth and Gil came home, and Elizabeth found out about the $125, what came out was, Mom, he wasn't short $125. He's still short $200 for the rent. I have a hole in my wall. I have a hole in my door because he's gotten upset and he's creating damage. And I said to Elizabeth at that time, he can't stay. I don't mind supporting you. You're my daughter. I'm not going to support your boyfriend.
I got it. I got it. One of the problems is your husband, behind his daughter's back, had a conversation with Gilbert. He was well-meaning, but he said to Gilbert, look, so you're going to be short. If you're short, you let me know because I'll help you out. I can understand why Elizabeth was annoyed because he's supposed to be taking care of business and he wasn't taking care of business. Right, Elizabeth?
Yes, and...
All right. But I'm going to tell you something. Something that you said to me was really kind of stupid. And that is, if he decided to move out because you weren't getting along, why you lost your temper, I don't know. I would have thrown him a party. Not thrown his things, I would have thrown him a party. And you really had no right to lock him out of the apartment because irrespective of where he got the money, he was paying rent. Now, Gilbert, your parents love you?
Yes.
Is that why they were helping you with your money?
Yes.
Mr. McManus doesn't love you. And the reason he was helping you was because of his daughter, not because of you. He doesn't care whether he doesn't see you starting today until hell freezes over. Now, are you a moral person, Gilbert?
Yes, Your Honor.
Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze.
Bless you.
Thank you. You see, now, if I was superstitious, I would say, when you sneeze after you say something, it's because you're telling the truth. So Mr. McManus really doesn't care whether he sees you from today until hell freezes over.
Elizabeth McManus and her parents, Rich and Manon McManus, claim Elizabeth's ex-boyfriend, Gilbert Layell, owes for a loan to buy a car and unpaid rent.
Are you working now, Gilbert?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you get to work last week?
Another car that I own.
When did you sell the Camaro, Gilbert?
No, I didn't sell the Camaro yet. But
Where
I'm
is
going
it?
To. It's in my possession.
What kind of car did you buy, Gilbert?
Just another commute car, like a little Civic.
Why would you do that, Gilbert?
I planned on selling the Camaro, so I needed something that was a little less. The Camaro was giving me a lot of problems as far as...
Well, I hope that you sell it for at least $1,500, Gilbert.
I hope.
Because you owe the McManuses $1,500. I'm surprised at you, sir. I'm really surprised that you committed yourself to another car that you purchased and paid for while still having the old one and didn't have the good judgment and the moral compass to say, these people were nice to me, and I'm going to see to it that they get their money back. The $125 for rent, sir, that's your problem. Put your hand down. That's your problem. You offered, he accepted, you gave him $125. Don't do it again. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500, which is the amount of money that you loaned him for the car. Now, as far as your personal property is concerned, Gilbert, you have photographs of the personal property that she destroyed?
No, I don't.
You have bills and receipts for the personal property she destroyed?
No, ma'am.
Well, I can't help you, sir. Thank you. That's all. Counterclaims dismissed.
Thank you. Parties are excused. You may step out.
I felt that I shouldn't have to pay $2 grand for a rock and a stone, especially to a pathological liar like he is.
The only thing I really cared about was my family things that were handed down to me.
What upset me was that he lied to them.
Well, after everything was broken, I didn't really care.
He took advantage of me, too. I could go on and on, but that'd take all day.
She just was upset that I did that.
I think she's come away a little wiser for it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Plaster versus Deal. Step forward, please.
Homemaker Shirley Bonnie Plaster is suing her former friend, 25-year-old homemaker Tamara Deal, for unpaid child care fees. Tamara says Bonnie agreed to take her children so they wouldn't have to live in a gang-infested neighborhood.
Ms. Plaster, it is your claim that the defendant, who has 3 children, owes you for child care. Her children lived with you for a period of time. She gave you some money, but you still claim she owes you $1,500.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Deal says she owes you nothing because of one of 2 things. Either you waived any support during the mediation that you evidently had about something, and second, that there was never any agreement to pay you for taking care of her children. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why was she taking care of your children?
I had some problems in the neighborhood that I was living in, and it was basically a bad community, and I had to do what was best and get my children out of there as soon as possible.
And how long did they all stay with you?
From June the 11th, Bradley stayed with me until March the 4th, and then the others from August and October until March the 4th.
Where were you living during all of this time?
I recently...
Richard, don't look down. Look at me.
I recently moved out of the apartment that I was moving in because of the community, and I went to stay in hotels. That's why I thought it was best that Bonnie helped me out and take care of my kids.
Who were you living in the hotels with?
Me and the father of my children.
You have a drug problem?
No, ma'am.
Did he?
No, ma'am.
So then why weren't you working?
We were working.
Well, 2 people working, it would seem to me you could have some sort of place for your children.
Right, at the time, you know, struggling trying to keep up the bill of the hotel and the gas to go back and forth to work and the money to eat on, took us a long time to try to save the money up so that we could get on our feet.
You knew Miss Plaster through your mother, is that right?
Not only through my mother, but she took custody of my cousin when he was about 9 months old.
How old is he now?
16.
So she's a very good parent.
Yes.
What arrangements did you make to pay her for taking care of your children?
I gave her $150 a week, every week.
Is that right?
She was paying me $150, then she fell behind in November and stopped paying me.
How come?
Back in November, I lost my brother. I had to take some leave of absence from work, and when I went to go back to work in December, they asked me not to come back because I'd been off work for so long, so I wasn't getting a check every week. And then 2 weeks after that, my grandmother passed away as well.
Now, what about the father of these children?
He was with me.
Why wasn't he giving her any money?
He wasn't bringing home much. You know, $200, $300 a week is basically getting us by. I mean, it's $350 for a week of hotel.
If it's $350 a week for hotel, madam, you can find a small apartment for less than that.
No, not where we live.
Where do you live?
In Virginia.
Sure you
It's
can.
$1,200 a month for an apartment.
Yeah.
And when you're bringing home $300 a week, that's not making it much. It's
Well,
not
you
gonna
just
make
told me it was $350 a week for a hotel room.
Yeah, and we were struggling. And that's why I told Mrs. Plaster that when I got my taxes that I would give her some money because I didn't pay her in November when I lost my job.
So how much money did you give her?
$1,000.
And how much money do you owe her?
Nothing. After I gave her the $1,000, nothing was said until I was served with a court paper.
Ms. Plaster, I'll hear you.
She paid me $1,000 February the 12th, and I watched the kids from February the 12th to March the 4th when they took them out of there. She owed me $2,000 on February the 12th. She gave me $1,000.
So she owes you $1,600.
Right. But I rounded off to make it just even $1,500.
She said in November, I assume when you stopped working, you got behind.
Correct.
And you were behind $2,000. You gave her $1,000 at that time in February.
That's not right. I mean, a month, that's $600. Okay, that's what I, you know, if I owe her anything, that's what I should have been owing her. But I gave her the $1,000 in February because I didn't give her any money for December.
When you gave her the
end of November.
$1,000 in February, did you take your children home?
No, I took them home
Just a
in
second.
March.
So they stayed with her for another month, another 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Are they with you now?
Yes, they are.
Who else do you live with?
The father of my kids.
You have 3 children with this man. Is there any reason why you're not married to him?
The time isn't right. I mean...
Judgment for the plaintiff.
Versus Cummings. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, folks.
Mr. Johnson, you were an uninvited guest at the defendant's birthday party. Is that right?
Not entirely, Your Honor.
Who invited you to his birthday party?
There was a group of friends that were meeting up there that night, approximately 5, including one of my witnesses, Eric Sullivan.
Who invited you?
I was told...
It's not an answer, sir. Let me refresh your recollection as to what you said in your complaint. On August 27th, 2004, my friends and I heard about a party. So my question to you is,
Who invited you?
Like I said, there was a group of friends that were meeting up there that night. I was told to come by.
So the answer is nobody invited you.
Correct.
Good. And it is your claim that when you got there, you'll tell me what happened, but that the defendant, whose birthday was being celebrated that evening at his home, right?
Correct.
Hit you, and you were injured. Mr. Cummings says you were in fact an uninvited guest at his party. He told you to leave. You hit him first, and he hit your back, right?
Correct.
How old were you?
20 years old, ma'am, on that day.
And who do you live with?
My parents.
You live in a house?
Yes, ma'am.
How big a house?
4-bedroom.
Where were your parents?
My parents were vacationing.
Got it? Had you discussed having a party at the house before they went on vacation?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many people did they say that you should have at your party?
They said 20 people was fine.
How many people showed up at your party?
20 to 25 people.
So you were 5 over quota.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Johnson, tell me what time you got to the party.
It's approximately 11:30.
Where had you been before?
My house.
With whom?
I was a designated driver for my friend Erica and Renee. She came by my house, picked me up, then we picked up Erica and went up to Nashua.
What happened when you got there?
We got there, we ran into a few of our friends. There's approximately 5 out of 30 to 40 some odd people that were actually there. I had asked my friend Corey if he knew who lived there. He didn't know. On my way up from the basement where I thought I heard some people that I knew. I did not. Came upstairs, someone had approached me, said, "Do you know, is Cummings down there?" And I said, "Sorry, I don't know who Cummings is." He laughed and walked away. Now, next thing I knew, I was surrounded by approximately 5 people, 5, 6 people. One of them had said, "Do you know who Cummings is?" I said, "No, I don't." And then he said, "Why don't you try and guess?" So, not knowing who he was, I said, "I don't know, you?" And they all started laughing. Now, the only one who wasn't laughing was the defendant, and he came up to me.
Because his name is?
Jim Cummings. He then approached me, gave me an open-handed slap in the face, and said, "You and your friends get the F out of my house." I then turned to my friend Erica. I said, "Well, seeing as how I was just slapped, I think it's time to leave." A couple people had stopped me, asked me what happened. I said, "I just got slapped in the face by the person who lives here, and I'm leaving." And then the defendant came back out and said, "All right, it's getting too loud. Everybody needs to get back inside the house." And he was looking at me when he said this. I said, "Well, I think I'm going to leave anyway."
Good idea.
I thought so. So I was walking to the car. It was parked in the inside of a cul-de-sac. We were walking to the car, and there was a girl there crying. She's like, "Oh, this is garbage. I'm so sick of this. I want to get out of here." And I said, "Hey, somebody else who hates this party."
Is that this young lady here?
Yes, it is.
What were you crying about?
That there were so many people there and it was getting outrageous.
Because why?
Because everybody was a little intoxicated. There really wasn't that many people there. It was like...
I asked you a question. I didn't ask you for a whole tale. I said, why were you crying?
Because there were too many people there and it was getting outrageous and the neighbors were coming over complaining. And
Good, now you can sit down. Okay, so...
So as I was walking to the car and I said that to her, next thing I know, out of right field, he comes up running from behind me. That's my effing girlfriend. He swings me around and punches me in the face at the same time.
Mr. Cummings, is that what happened, sir?
No, ma'am.
Why don't you tell me your version of what happened, Mr. Cummings? Were you drunk that evening?
I was slightly intoxicated as well as everybody else that was at the party, including him.
Well, I don't know. Just a second. Okay. I don't know whether he was intoxicated at all, sir. But I do know that if you were celebrating your 20th birthday, you were intoxicated.
Yes, ma'am.
And is this your girlfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mr. Cummings, I want you to understand something. The reason your girlfriend was crying wasn't because there were too many people at the party. That's a fib, she just told me. I believe she was crying. But she was crying because something happened there at the party, because she's not so responsible that she's out there crying because there are too many people and the neighbors are coming over. Somebody told you to be quiet. That's not why she's crying. Either you said something to her or something happened there that upset her. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, good. How old are you?
17.
17, because I know 17-year-olds. They don't get upset because there are too many people at a party. They get upset because maybe their boyfriend says something that they don't like. Maybe you were flirting with somebody else. Maybe you said something that wasn't nice to her. All of those things are possibilities, not because the party was too loud. That wouldn't cause her to cry. So now let's get back to, you tell me your version of what happened to Mr. Johnson.
He was being loud and obnoxious all night, and the neighbor from next door, she has small children, and I respect that, and she came over and asked me to quiet the party down, which I then asked a couple of my friends to go around and say, "Hey, calm down," and I did too. And I asked the defendant to calm down and his friends.
Where was he when you asked him to calm down?
He was inside the dining room drinking Bacardi-O. He came to my house with a half a bottle of Bacardi-O, which I assume the other half was consumed when he was at his house.
Go ahead.
I asked him then to leave. He got up, and then he we were walking outside, words were exchanged, he was swearing at me, saying, F you, why am I leaving this party? He was very upset because he had to leave and other people weren't leaving. I told him because my neighbor, you know, asked me to calm down, and he was the only one that seemed to not calm down, was him.
So you're telling me, sir, that the story that Mr. Johnson just told me about going outside and seeing your girlfriend crying, that wasn't true. Is that what you're telling me?
No, he may have went outside.
Go ahead.
He may have went outside and seen my girlfriend crying, but that's not true, no.
Mr. Cummings, is what you're telling me that Mr. Johnson was not telling me the truth when he said he was outside of your home already before you hit him, and that's when he saw your girlfriend crying?
I don't know if it was at that same time, Your Honor. She was crying all night.
Michael Johnson claims he was punched in the face by Jim Cummings. Jim says Michael crashed his birthday party.
Why was she crying all night, Mr. Cummings?
Because she was upset with me.
Why?
Because we had broke up during the night. It's alcohol and booze and drama. That's what it is. It's a teenage party, you know? It's a teenage party. That's how it is.
Listen to me, Mr. Cummings. I'm aware of that, sir.
Okay.
That's why I said she wasn't telling me the truth when she gave me the reason that she was crying. Right?
Correct.
And that's why you're not telling me the truth, sir, about when this altercation took place with Mr. Johnson, because it took place outside.
Correct.
Not inside.
I was not done my story, Your Honor.
Then get to it, Mr. Cummings.
At that point, I asked him to leave. We went outside. He was exchanging words with me and swearing at me, and
Just
he
a
went
second.
outside.
If you asked him to leave,
Okay.
and he went outside, why were you going outside?
Because I was making sure that he was leaving, because he seemed to be the most obnoxious person there, Your Honor.
Not quite.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Keep going.
We went outside, and at that point, he then pushed me, and I pushed him back. And then he swung at me and hit me, and I counterpunched him in the face, and then he was gone, and that was it, and I didn't hear anything until this.
Who else was outside with you, Mr. Johnson?
I was, Your Honor.
Step up. Name?
Erica Galvin.
What happened outside, Miss Galvin?
Outside, we were going to leave, and everybody kept on stopping to ask us what happened. So it was kind of a delayed departure, but we did end up making it halfway to the car when Michael saw apparently his girlfriend and said, hey, somebody else who doesn't like this party. And that's when he came from behind him, grabbed him on the shoulder, and then punched him in the face as he was turning him around.
Sounds right.
And then that's when me, Eric, and a few other people tried to break it up, and 6 of his friends came flocking over and said, stay out of this is not your fight. And we just kept on saying, we just want to leave. And I'd like to include that there was about 40 people there, and most of them were outside. And it was a kegger, so people were paying to get in. That doesn't necessarily mean that there has to be a definite invitation.
There has to be a definite invitation if you don't want trouble, right?
If you don't want trouble.
If you don't want trouble. And when you have a kegger, you don't have 17-year-olds at the party, because if you have 17-year-olds at the party and serving alcohol, you're breaking the law. You're aware of that, Mr. Cummings, aren't you?
Yes.
Perfect. Can I see your medical bill, please?
Yes, there are a few of them here.
Anything else you want to say to me?
I was not drinking at the party. I had not drank.
Is what you stand up?
Yes, I was
stand
not.
up. I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you a question.
Okay. Sorry, Your Honor. I was not drinking.
I didn't ask you whether you were drinking or not. I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Is your statement that you weren't drinking as truthful as your statement moments ago that the reason you were crying is that there were too many people at the party?
Well,
I want you to think about my question. You have to process my question.
I was not drinking. My parents, we live in the same neighborhood, me and Jim.
So just answer my question. So were you lying to me before when you said to me that the reason you were crying is because there were too many people? No. He says that the reason you were crying is because he had broken up with you.
I was upset that we broke up, but I live up the street, so if there was a loud party, my parents would come down and see me there, and I would
Sit down. Sit down.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
I mean, like I said...
I don't know, because you're not saying anything. You're just comforting.
I don't understand how she justifies that she's asked for the entertainment center when the only thing she's ever wanted was the bed.
Women change their minds.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michael Johnson claims he was punched in the face by Jim Cummings. Jim says Michael crashed his birthday party.
Go ahead.
After approximately 5 days of not being able to chew solid foods, I was on the slim fast and pudding diet. That is accurate.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, I have a friend a foot taller than him that wouldn't take him.
He's a big guy and he was drunk. That's why he was so nasty to his girlfriend. She forgave him. You forgave him, right? Huh?
Yes.
Stupid! Listen, Mr. Cummings, I don't believe you, sir. I believe that this young man came to your house. He was not invited to your birthday party by you.
I apologize, Your Honor. I just wanted to...
Perfect!
I just wanted...
Perfect! Apology is accepted.
Thank you.
This young man came to your house. He was uninvited by you. But it was a party, and that's what happens when teenagers and young people hear about a party around. You know, they hear the words, party, parents gone, on vacation, let's go have a good time. Came to your house, and there was absolutely no reason for you to hit him, except that you'd had a little too much to drink, and you have to pay for that. He's suing you for his medical bills, and not much for pain and suffering, almost $1,800.
Only $500 just for the pain and suffering.
I would have sued him for a lot more. It's got to be taught a lesson. Can't put your hands on somebody. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount requested, $1,779. That's all. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He was just wasted, just yelling and being obnoxious, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we were there for all of about 10 minutes. You know, I was driving my friend's car. I wasn't drinking a thing.
He just put his hands up at my girl and I just punched him in the face.
I can't even understand why you get so mad about it. I said, hey, somebody else who hates this party, rock on.
Moral of the story is, don't mess with the wrong people.
Gotta get a tooth yanked. Looking forward to some more pain.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Donahue versus Heinig. Step forward, please.
21-year-old fitness consultant Megan Donahue is suing her ex-boyfriend, 24-year-old construction worker Brian Heinig, and his mother, Ann, for the return of a bedroom set and entertainment system.
Miss Donahue, this used to be your boyfriend, is that right?
Yes.
You have a child with him?
Yes, I do.
How old is that child?
9 months.
Boy or girl?
Boy.
And for a period of time, you lived in Mr. Heinig's home with his mother.
Yes.
And it is your claim that there was some sort of an altercation. You left, and Mr. Heinig refuses to give you back 2 items of furniture that you purchased that belonged to you. Mr. Heinig says that the bed he paid for and that the home theater was given to him. He doesn't say by whom. When did you move out?
April 9th.
And you moved out with your son?
Yes, I did.
Where did you move to?
My house, my parents' house.
When did you go back for your furniture?
April 9th is the last time I've ever been at their house.
When did you tell them you wanted the bed and the home entertainment center?
April 9th.
Okay. Now, what?
Well, I was there. My son was not there when she came back with her sister, and she did want the bed. She made no mention of an entertainment center. She was very emphatic about the bed.
How old is your son?
My son?
I'm 24, ma'am.
He's 24. Is he your youngest?
No.
Let him talk for himself. Let's deal with the entertainment center first, Mr. Heinig.
Mm-hmm.
Who bought it?
We had both bought it.
Who paid for it?
We had both paid for it.
How much did you pay for it?
I'd say $180 at least.
Yeah, I have receipts for everything I paid for and an itemized list of everything that I wanted back. And he did pay, when I was on maternity leave, he did pay part of the bed.
Okay.
And I did pay him back, and there's a council check in here proving that,
May I see that,
paid him back. Yeah, that's all for the bed and everything.
Why did she give you a check in March of 2004 for $600?
I never received a check for $600 in March. We weren't even talking together in March.
Yes, we were. I didn't move out till April 9th.
I never received a check for
Would you show him this,
$600. Oh, this is for the side work I was doing for her dad at the gym when I was rebuilding the gym.
Okay, so that's for work that you did for her father?
Yeah, when they own a gym.
Mm-hmm.
And there should be another check somewhere for $350 that they had also paid me.
No.
Okay. Now, you say you paid her about $180, sir?
Well, that was for the TV.
How much was the television?
Maybe $240, I don't know, something around there. It was like a 27-inch TV.
Okay.
It wasn't bad.
And how much did you pay her towards the bed, which was...
I got $650 towards the bed.
Let us say that everything that you say is true, Mr. Heinig, that you did pay for some part of both the entertainment center as well as the bed. That doesn't mean that you get to keep both.
Understandable.
So how do you want to deal with it?
You know, I don't feel that, you know, I mean, like I said...
I don't know, because you're not saying anything. You're just comforting.
I don't know, I understand how she justifies that she asked for the entertainment center when the only thing she's ever wanted was the bed.
She's just... Women change their mind.
I'll give her the money for the bed, you know, but I mean, I think that's the only thing I should give her the money for.
And the television, the entertainment
I'll give her
center?
I'll give her the television. She could have it.
Oh, great. So the entertainment center is to be returned
to her within 5 days from
Sure.
today's date. You keep the bed, sir. You're going to pay her $750 for the bed. That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff, $750, and the entertainment center within 5 days.
You may be seated. Sirs, have seats.
Mr. Howard, according to your complaint, sir, you retained the defendant's services in making a video. You gave him a deposit of $5,000. You canceled the project, and you want your deposit back.
Yes,
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And the defendant says that he did a lot of work on your video. If you didn't want to continue, that's your problem. And he is counterclaiming because he alleges that you slandered him by making a false report to the police that he had threatened you. Is that right, sir? Let's hear about the video.
Your Honor, I'm a musician, and ever since I was a young boy, I kind of want...
Mr. Howard?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
You understand?
All right.
Young boy, how old are you now?
40.
40? I don't have time.
Okay. All right.
Let's get to the video.
Okay, just in a nutshell, Your Honor, I wanted to do a music video. I went to a very prominent organization that referred me to him, and unbeknownst to me, she made a deal with him where he would pay her $500 for the referral. And I contacted him, and I discovered that he had some very influential associations with a big-time entertainment company. So he said...
Just a minute. You discussed your video with him?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is a music video?
Yes, ma'am.
You are a producer?
I own a company that produces productions.
What was the total fee?
It was $10,000, and he said that he was going to throw in freebies because this was his first music video. I brought my entire concept to him. I explained that I had my own scenes and everything that I wanted to do, and that all I needed was for him to film it.
$10,000 for the video. Did you sign a contract with him?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see the contract. This is a contract case. Okay. So you gave him a $5,000 deposit. You have that check, sir?
Yes, ma'am. But prior to signing the contract, we had negotiated for him to hold a check for me until I had a time to have an attorney friend review the contracts. He did not hold the checks. He cashed them prior to me signing the contract. And then when I called him, he was threatening me, talking about, you know, he spent all this time with me, and
We'll get to that, sir. You signed the contract. You gave him a check.
Well, I gave him the check, and 2 weeks later, before I even
Can I
signed the
please see
contract-
copies of the checks?
Yes, ma'am. This is the first one. I cleared the very next day. And this is the one that cleared later, prior to me even being able to sign the contracts.
You signed the contracts on the 12th of March.
Yes, ma'am.
One check is dated March 7th. They're both dated March 7th. Explain that to me.
He kept pressuring me, telling me I was wasting his time, and he so pressured me and bullied me into doing it. I said, well, just to show you that I'm serious about considering to do the video, here is $2,500. Please hold this until I can have someone review the contract.
That's not the way you do business, sir, so I'm not paying any attention to that. You sign a contract, you sign a contract. Now, what I want to know is, when you cancel this contract?
Right after the threat.
Well, what date was that?
That was 2 weeks after the threat because I didn't know what to do.
Give me a date.
April 7th.
So about a month. Now, during the course of that month, did you have meetings with Mr. Paul?
We had meetings prior to the threat, and this was in an effort to...
I'm not getting to the threat yet, sir. The threat
Yes.
has to do with...
Yes, ma'am. We had a lot of meetings.
All right. I assume, Mr. Paul, that you did not do any work prior to the contract being signed.
Actually, we did do work prior to the contract, discussing about creatives, because we don't begin doing creatives unless we have a deposit.
Right. Well, you can discuss it all you like, but prior to signing a contract, it's all just a pitch. Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. I want to know, between the 12th of March, at the time that he signed the contract, and the 7th of April, I want to know approximately how much time you spent with him.
67 hours, phone calls just about every single evening, excluding one weekend when I went to visit my folks.
Now, you say 67 hours. Do you have that documented anywhere? Because that's a pretty precise number.
Whenever I have a meeting with somebody, I just document down that time for that. It's just standard business practice.
Okay.
And because he required so much time, more than even the large clients that I have.
That is not true, Your Honor.
Can I finish? I had to cancel other productions because obviously if someone pays a deposit to do a production, they're priority over new business coming in. So it was to my best interest to get this done the way he wanted it to, under the budget and conditions that state. He didn't understand the fact that the more things you use in a production, the more time it takes, the more money it costs.
That's not true, Your Honor. He would always delete it, take everything out that I was presenting, and that, moreover, with the threats is why I wanted to just be done with it. Because I was paying him, it's very emotional for me, Your Honor, because I'm trying to do this for my mother before she passes. And he rejected everything. I was paying him to do my ideas. And he didn't want that. He wanted to do his ideas.
Mr. Howard, what you do usually before you retain a company that you don't know much about, you have a lot of preliminary meetings with them and you make a decision as to whether or not this is a company that you want to use before you sign the contract.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I asked him what he would do if I withdrew from the contract because I was afraid of him.
Yes.
And he said he would put a gun to my head.
If you're gonna lie, think of something a little bit more believable.
And later today,
What was the agreement then?
That they would pay us $500 a month for the material.
After they moved in?
After they moved in.
They
and
never moved
then-
in?
No, they didn't. So,
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Grafton Howard says production company owner James Paul owes for a refund of the money he spent to make a music video.
Tell me about the threat, sir, that you allege he made to you and when it was.
Every time I found out that he was not doing what I was asking him to do, I would call and ask, why are you deleting everything you promised me? He would just go ballistic. He would curse me out on the phone. He would just say, you know, you're the stupidest person. I'm trying to do this and that. And I would like, why are you cursing at me? I'm your client. And he'd just go off at me.
So let me hear, could I hear about the threat, please?
We went to a well-known restaurant. After a meeting that I had this gentleman a witness to, he witnessed his demeanor. After he would go up, blow up.
I would like to hear the threat, sir.
Okay, ma'am, I asked him what he would do if I withdrew from the contract because I was afraid of him.
Yes.
And he said he would put a gun to my head. And then he said he would put the gun on himself and tell God it was because I didn't do the production. And that's the reason why I didn't do
Yes,
this.
sir. Go ahead.
I'm sorry I have to laugh because I don't threaten people's life. And to be honest with you, I have a police report here. He's contradicted himself.
Let me see the police report, please.
He filed to the police department 2 weeks after I supposedly did this act. And then he also states in the police report that after I supposedly threatened his life, he stayed and ate dinner with me the rest of the evening?
Just a second.
I mean, if you're going to lie, think of something a little bit more believable.
And, Your Honor, he would go off about $2 parking. This gentleman can witness to the fact that he was having a ballistic fit over $2 parking. And, Your Honor, I would like to see if I'm sorry.
Is this the basis of your counterclaim, sir? The police came and talked to you?
No, it's not.
Well, what's the basis of your
The
counterclaim?
basis of the countersuit is this studio that he so-called mentioned fictitious. I brought him, you know, basically the contacts, I introduced the contacts to him. And these are big contacts that took a lot of time for me to get that generate referrals.
Yeah.
He called these people up and sent documents that I threatened to kill him and all this. And actually, one of them says, Jim, you know what? Let's let this thing melt down and I'll give you some business in a couple of months. He's killing my business.
That's hearsay.
It's also...
That's hearsay.
Okay.
Stop playing with your papers.
Okay.
I felt bad for him in the beginning. After he signed the contract, I felt bad. He told me he got screwed over by a well-known person I cannot mention. And he lived in a shack and had an outhouse and all this. And I said, Grafton, just cancel it. Take your money back before I incur cost.
Oh, Lord.
And leave it alone.
That's
Then,
not true, Your Honor.
this is the very, very beginning.
Mr. Howard,
This is,
am I looking in your direction now?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't speak unless I look in your direction.
Yes, ma'am.
this is before we incurred any expense and time and effort and work. And this has cost me a lot more than my countersuit. I normally do about 5 to 6 commercials a month. When Grafton signed on, I did 2 that month. And I'm very consistent with the business. Obviously, it's hearsay, you're right, but...
It's a very simple case, sir. Your counterclaim is dismissed because there is no evidence. You, sir, are not entitled to your money back. You're not entitled to your money back because you signed the contract and the defendant did work in the furtherance of that contract. If you were dissatisfied, Am I asking for you to say anything?
He witnessed everything, Your Honor.
I don't care what he witnessed.
He
I believe
witnessed his
everything you...
threats.
Listen to me. I believe everything you told me. I didn't need a witness to corroborate what you're telling me. You showed me a check. You showed me the contract. You told me how long you worked together, that he wasn't doing the kind of job that you wanted. You knew enough to say to him, I want a lawyer to look at the contract. You just did it in the wrong order, which is stupid. However, he spent, and I believe him, that he spent 60-some-odd hours talking to you on the phone, meeting with you after work, meeting with you during work, meeting with you in the evening, and you couldn't come to a creative understanding. That doesn't mean he's supposed to do that for nothing. Your case is dismissed. That's all. So is your counterclaim.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I have nothing negative to say. I just wish he would understand how business is run.
I understand production. I understand that when you hire somebody to do a job and you already have your own concept, they're supposed to do it.
I told him what he was getting for his money, and I was very specific, and I explained everything, and I had to explain everything maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 different times.
He was having me wanted me to sign off on my creative to get my money back. He wanted my concept. And that's what it was. He's not creative. He doesn't know what he's doing.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Nason versus Greenman Champagne. Step forward, please.
Student Jennifer Nason and her husband Todd are suing Jennifer's sister, 21-year-old daycare provider Neela Champagne, and her husband Kenneth Greenman. The Nasons claim the couple owes for money spent to remodel their home.
Miss Nason, according to what I've read here, your sister and her husband were having a little bit of a tough time, and you offered to let them move into your home, a portion of your home that was to be remodeled. And you said, listen, this is the deal. You pay for the remodeling. Once the remodeling is done, you give us $500 a month. Once it's all paid off, you don't have to pay us any rent. You can live rent-free.
Correct.
That's what you say. The remodeling started. The two husbands didn't get along with each other. They had some words. Your sister and her husband decided not to move in, and you think that they should pay you for all the materials that you invested in to do this remodeling, which is a couple of $1,000s. Your sister and her husband say that there was never an agreement to pay for the remodeling. There was an agreement for them to pay rent, $500 a month, once they moved in. Where were they supposed to live? What part of your house was going to be remodeled?
We have a little room that is adjacent to our one-car garage that we have.
How big?
30 by 50.
It was going to end up being a 2-bedroom, a kitchenette, a dining room, and a living room, all open floor plan.
Let me see pictures of how far you got in this alteration.
We don't have any photographs because we only started putting down the floor, and it looks basically the same way that it was when we started, because we didn't get anywhere with it because they ended up not moving in. So we didn't end up taking any pictures of it, truthfully.
Why do you think they're responsible for the materials that you purchased?
Well, we were doing this for them because they needed a place to live. It was a verbal agreement that they would pay us $500 a month for the material.
After they moved in?
After they moved in.
They never moved in?
No, they didn't ever move in by their own accord.
Just listen, but they never moved in?
No, they didn't. Because they decided not to move in. So...
You didn't expect them to move in if the two guys weren't getting along. What was the problem?
We were getting along.
Two guys were not getting along. What happened?
We get along fine, as far as I'm concerned, Your Honor.
What happened?
He wouldn't help out at all on anything that we did do in the thing. When he did come over, he'd just stand there, just pick up a couple screws. He wasn't capable of doing anything. For instance, he was taking rocks, throwing them in a dumpster that you pay by weight. And I called him up and asked him to take them rocks out so he wouldn't have to pay so much. He was too busy to come over.
So you were annoyed?
I was annoyed, yes.
So, in case you didn't know it, the men didn't get along.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that until just now?
Yes.
What do you know? You see, you learn revelations every day. Now, what was your interpretation of your arrangement with your sister?
Well, what happened was originally we had discussed, redoing the apartment, and Todd said, we'll do it, and you just pay us back what you can for rent. And I said, okay, so we went home, we discussed it. I called my sister back. I said, well, as far as what we were looking for in an apartment, to rent your place, we'd pay $500 a month. So then he said, okay, everything started. Probably a couple of days after that had happened, I called her back up. I was like, listen, Jen, we're not going to be able to afford to pay you the $500 right now because Kenny's check from the reserves hasn't come in yet. She said, that's fine. She said, because after all, you're not going to start paying until you move in. And I said, okay, so that's when things went on. Then there was a couple of arguments between my husband and her husband, and then we had taken my 2 nieces.
You mean your 2 nieces?
Her 2 daughters.
2 daughters.
Yes. And there was a miscommunication on the way home.
Well, explain that to me.
We had gone up on one day to visit with my brother. So we thought, as a favor, because we thought they went the same way that we did, we'd meet them at the end of the Mass Pike, and we'd just switch off there.
So you're going to give them back their daughters?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So what happened was we went down 95 completely. They went up a different way. Then we get a call, and they wanted us to bring the girls all the way back up, which would have probably brought us about an hour and a half out of our way. So, of course, we got into an argument, me and my sister. So Todd in the background was saying that he was going to beat us both up and that he was going to kill us both if we did not go all the way up. And at that point was when we decided that I wasn't going to put my son in a situation where someone is that violent over something that little.
Okay, first of all, that is exactly how it did not happen. First of all, she...
Ms. Masson, listen to me very carefully.
Yes.
It doesn't make any difference what the fight was about. It is enough that the two of you and the husbands were not getting along. Was there a contract for them to pay for the renovation on your house? Unless you have that contract in writing, you have no contract.
Why did they start paying?
They
why
started
did they...
paying us for the material.
I have no idea why they started paying. It is stupid for anyone to pay for the renovation in somebody else's house. It would be smart for you to say, look, once we move in, which is what you testify to, once we move in, we will start to pay $500 a month until, which is what you told me, until the cost of the renovation is paid. But that presupposes that they move in. They didn't move in.
That was
and why should she pay for materials that she's never going to enjoy? That's